they're stinky numbers at this point in the competition.
It's the opening deaths for me that really strike it. They're not positive in opening kills, and you need to get those opening kills to really set your game up for those rounds.
All right, we are moving into the map ban phase. We do have some information up on your screen right now. Ollie, I'll put you in the hot seat first. What are you thinking here?
Clubhouse Coastline first two to be removed. If FaZe are removing a coastline, you know that something's up. You know that they're throwing a little bit of respect, I think, over towards Cyclops.
Because that's the crazy map. And out of all the 7 maps, that's the crazy one.
It is. That's the map that you go to when all else sort of fails. Chalet coming out as the first pick. It's pretty bold. It's a pretty strong pick. FaZe, I mean, as are the rest of LATAM, cracking the Chalet region. So for Cyclops to go there, it does show a level of confidence. They have won on there 4 times recently, so they're going to be fairly comfortable in and around that map out of 6 plays. Villa, obviously, they're being picked for FaZe. FaZe, historically, a very good map.
Confident map for them. Always having a good showing. The Chalet first pick for me really strikes me as Cyclops. They have to have something to store, because that's like I said, it's a great map for the region. And then we see an Oregon ban for Cyclops. I feel as if that's one where you can really do a lot of pocket strategies. Bank from FaZe maybe respecting Cyclops, maybe not wanting to deal with a constant Monty on Bank as Liquid had to deal with. And then we're going to go to the Kafe Decider as well. I don't know if we'll get there though, Jackie.
Okay, Ollie, who you picking? Fast, go.
I'm going to pick FaZe. I've got to stick to my home region. Well, my pseudo home region.
Okay, well, he's picking FaZe. I was going to say maybe you could do a $5 bet again, but you better pay him back though.
Don't worry, it balances out.
You better pay him back.
Balances out.
Balances out.
Okay, does it?
Liquid FaZe grand final. I'll go for FaZe. They'll win it. You know, I'll get the money back. It's okay.
True, true. All right, well, who will be rattier? Cyclops and FaZe, both facing elimination from the group stage. A lot on the line. FaZe versus Cyclops. Pentero, take it away.
I don't like that. Pentero. I don't like that.
Pentero? What do you like?
I like Intero and Pengu. I like Pengu and Intero. I will settle on those, and I will take no further questions.
I'll take Newt, and then you can be whatever you would like to be, Parker. It's very simple. Pengu and Parky, if anything, that's the one I like the most.
Okay. Pengu and Parky has a nice flourish to it. We're here with our very final matchup on the main stream, the A stream if you want to call it that. And again, like our matchup earlier today and like almost every single group today, there's a lot on the line, not just for these teams in regards to this matchup, but beyond. When you look at this group, nobody is safe at the moment out of these teams competing. There exists a reality where FaZe goes home just as CAG go home. And yeah, right now CAG is the team that is most likely to be removed.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean anything.
Isn't it kind of crazy that we've lost BDS, we've lost Team 1, so to put that into contrast, BDS is arguably the fan favorite to win the entire event. They're home. Team 1, they won in Mexico. They're home, and we might even lose the Sweden major champions in FaZe, although be it extremely unlikely. CAG, most likely outcome to go home, but we don't know. Rogue, CAG, FaZe, and SSG, those are the 4 teams fighting in this final fight of tonight. And of course, the outcome of both matches, they kind of intertwine because they are in the same grouping. On points, they're quite close. Liquid with 11, SSG at 5, FaZe with 4, Rogue with 3, CAG with a single point on the board.
Yep, and while Liquid will definitively
for sure
group, it's going to be FaZe, Rogue, or CAG going home. Yep. 3 points are on the board right now, and CAG can get all 3 of them. Liquid is off today. It's going to be SSG playing Rogue on the other stream once their match currently concludes. They're right now in the middle of another entertaining show. It's Furia versus Dark Zero on the other stream. If you want to go over and watch, feel free to do that. We like to remind you at the onset of every single matchup that you can go over to twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo, and you'll listen to Blue and Stokes casting that DZ versus Furia match. And again, huge implications over there because, spoilers, Elevate defeated TSM on this stream just about half an hour ago. Elevate could finish first in their group.
That's crazy.
And, I mean, what's craziest is that teams didn't want to scrim Elevate, Maybe if you'd scrimmed Elevate, some of you wouldn't be going home so early.
Boy.
So there you have it. Anyway, let's focus on FaZe versus Cyclops because, as I said, there exists a scenario in which Cyclops 2-0s FaZe and Rogue leapfrogs over FaZe, and FaZe Clan, the defending major champions, on Swedish soil where they won their first major just 3 months ago, end up going home. Anything about the ban FaZe that looks a little bit odd, Nick?
I mean, there's about 1 out of 4 things that look normal. That's the Valkyrie ban. I'm not going to talk much about that because that is to be expected. But Twitch, that's like the second one that's not that crazy. Yeah, we see there's a target ban. The F2 goes brrr, good Twitch drone, can clear utility, good shows, yada 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 yada. But the Capital taken off the board. That's an LMG with no CIG. They played 3 LMGs against SSG on Chalet. That's 350 bullets in combination between those 3 weapons. And then of course the Vigil target ban comes out. That's going to speak to the roam game.
What is happening?
I can just hear.
I don't know if you can hear it, by the way, but there is the portal to hell has opened next to us, and Stokes and Blue are fighting for their lives.
They are.
I don't know what's going on over there, but they are screaming something unholy. And it being in close proximity to them, I mean, there's always going to be blowups, and we do the same to them.
Yeah.
But it's always funny to be on the other side of it.
It is. Like, we're going through this casual, you know, not in the first round yet, and it's just craziness in my left ear. And yeah, as I was saying, Cyclops, they really target ban FaZe out, the Twitch and the Vigil. This speaks to the roam game for when FaZe gets on the defense, and of course the Twitch affects FaZe on the attack. So, Cyclops, I want to remind you guys, they have lost Chalet yesterday against SSG, but they were up 6-1. And then SSG won 7 rounds in a row and came back and won 8-6. So Cyclops are very well versed in Chalet. They've done really good on it so far this tournament. FaZe will not be underestimating them. At least I don't think they will, because FaZe themselves are a very, very good team and they know how it works.
Even with BIOS, you can't underestimate BDS, who looked like the weakest team at this tournament, playing with their coach for those games. So I don't think any of these teams are taking any of them for granted, Nick, especially APAC. You know, maybe 2-3 years ago, when a single APAC team would make it out of the groups and then get blown out in the quarterfinals, maybe semifinals if you were Nora Rengo, sure. But for the most part, APAC has grown a ton, and you absolutely cannot count them out, especially when the
there it is.
Especially when
APAC,
two of these APAC teams might be finishing first in their groups. Immediate first kills on a Black Ray, but Souls does not allow him to exist that much longer, and suddenly these teams are back into a 4v4. But what was the operator that got picked apart by Black Ray?
Well, Black Ray took the ace off the board, and that is not the only Heartbreacher from the side of FaZe. We do still have Souls on the Maverick, but that's going to limit you a bit here as Cameraman is starting to do work on the library side. Anderton with the 1.5x on the smoke and has a mirror window and a shield on this chimney position. Remember, we are down in bar, but we're going to be extending up above. We want to make sure we have map control if we are Cyclops, because you can't just hide on side, and FaZe Clan will have to break that apart. They're looking for the way in, because right now they haven't gathered much ground. We have one guy out on the balcony on office and Cameraman on the library balcony as well. Bullet in the dining hallway. And the last player is Souls on that fireplace door. So we're kind of scattered around waiting for CAG to make the first move, if anything.
And they had the smoke of Aniton playing at the top of Chimney under a drone. I don't know if the smoke is still up there or whether they've seen it or not. Cyber took a lot of damage, and now Souls has dropped, and he's taken a ton of damage too. Ask just about anybody, and Souls is one of the best support players in the world right now. Not just in terms of decision making, but his ability to do damage on the map. And he's not going to be able to do all that much, taken out by a Nitro Cell of Viagator. Real no fight back. Suzu downing Cameraman, and then the kill as well leaves Cyber and Bullet in these positions. Cyber, cool as a cucumber, but he's dead now. And as well, Bullet will join him. All right, just like that. Cyclops taking 1-to-1 engagements, and I guess the question about whether the smoke was still being watched on drone up by Chimney doesn't matter because even if they had intel on him, there's nothing they could do to get him off of the spot. Cyclops takes round number 1.
Yep, that's the scary thing about the likes of Cyclops, and we saw that in the Elevate TSM game as well. They are so strong in those 1v1 gunfights. The only kill that FaZe managed to find was Souls that traded back that opening kill that BlackRay had found onto the one player of FaZe, and that's not going to be enough. And you mentioned how a lot of people, they give a lot of praise to Mr. Souls himself. I think the comparison between him and Brede from BDS is made so many times, and it's almost disrespectful to make the comparison now because I think they're two very distinct players. The only comparison I would make is that they're both extremely strong in that supportive role. They're both so capable of pulling out kills and clutches and having a massive impact on the round outside of just droning and making good callouts. But I would say Souls, very much an individual. Respect the name in its own entirety. Brede, same exact story. But yes, feel free to make the comparison as long as you do that. With that being said, Aniton, he has his own niche pick on the board now in the Capcan. This is another thing that CAG did against SSG yesterday, and it actually carried them for a round. What ended up happening was SSG took so long walking through the map, clearing out the roam game, and when they had to get to the bomb site with 30 seconds left, well, they ran into Capcan traps and it didn't end well for them. So okay, let's keep an eye on that timer as it ticks down. FaZe Clan are working against the clock more so than they typically would because the trap operators are out. BlackRay with that Melusic gadget as well. It's going to slow you down even further once you progress the map, and that is not what you want to happen. Meanwhile, cameraman, now same position as before, going to be outside of Master Balcony first. Wants to make sure that no runouts here happens from the garage. Actually, there's no balcony anymore. That's like the old Chalet, but there's a window to Solarium. All the same.
2 windows to Solarium.
2 windows to Solarium. 2 single windows.
2 single windows.
Used to be a balcony.
It's almost Valentine's Day, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So the windows as single as some of you viewers. I digress.
Oh, that's rude.
Oh, BlackRay gets jumped in on. We talked about how good of a support he can be, but on the score sheet, he's mighty fine. Souls and Cyber, the 2 first opening picks for FaZe Clan, they come quite quickly. An answer back from Gatorada. Cyclops finding at least 1. That's onto the Yana of Bullet. No real impact from the Yana at all. It's on the Ace now, trying to track down Gatorada. There's the rotate. They'll walk around the doorway. Nitro Cell gets blown up by that nade, and now bullets raining over the head of Gatorada, who pops back up. Cyber taking damage. There's the Maestro of Suzu creeping up these stairs. Thinks there's somebody on the window. Cyber's been down now. Gatorada with a shotgun in hand, he secures, but he doesn't find Souls, where the diffuser is down inside of Jacuzzi as well, or rather in bathroom by the Jacuzzi. Selma's going off to take out the hatches. Diffuser will need to be picked back up. FaZe in a 3v2 with half the round to go. An early burst of action characterized this round thus far, but now a stalemate as the teams recoup. FaZe Clan grabs the diffuser and figures out what to do before pulling off an execute in roughly a minute.
Yeah, and there we see Aniton's Capcom doing work. They found the injury and did the damage, and the kill got picked up as well. Traded back though by FaZe, who's been extremely quick throughout this round. They basically stormed through library, made their way through the map. We had cameraman on that Solarium rappel, and now all of top floor has been granted to them. But what happened was Cyber on the sledge has been taken out. That leaves the only verticality are the breaching charges from the Ace, but he's off the board as well as Ayagata gets a nice angle onto him. Suzu with the Alda and Ayagata with the 1.5x, a mighty duo in this 2v2, and both players from FaZe will come from Solarium.
The fact that the Evil Eye cams are up will play a huge part in the remainder of this round. And also the Capcan traps, letting them know that if these players from FaZe do not look down, they're going to funnel in through areas where they'll take a substantial amount of damage. A potential fatal blow as well, depending on how many of those or EDDs are on the doorway. Down goes Cameraman, secured by Ayagator, and now he'll engage with both an Evil Eye as well as that same alibi. And Ayagator walks away, dancing around the deployable shield with another round for CAG, starting off their own choice of Chalet up 2-0.
It's actually funny because both players from FaZe were inside a trophy, and you got a door on your left and a door on your right. They droned the door on the left, they actually pinged the Capcan trap on the door frame, and they said, you know what, that's too much trouble. We're gonna go to the right side instead, and ran into a different Capcan trap instead. Got injured, Ayagata finished off the kill with that injury as well, and that just leaves you in a 1 versus 2. So yeah, the Capcan traps really really playing a big factor, mostly due to the timer being so low from FaZe. They couldn't take their time checking the doorways, but also you had those angles opened up on the soft wall from Cyclops, leaving angles all the way from dining and kitchen in towards trophy area. So if you were to check the door, you cannot check for the fight. If you don't check for the fight and it happens, well, you're likely to lose out on the round regardless. Basement, as we are now working our way through the bomb sites, went from bar to kitchen and down below where we are currently. And there is one Walden on the board, two Walden on the board from the side of CAG. They got the Kaid on Gatorada and Ayagator with the mute as well. So we can make sure that these walls will be difficult to breach from the side of FaZe. Now, Souls has been bringing the Maverick every single round. That's important because one of the key ways to get in through those wall deny gadgets is the Maverick torch that can make a hole or make them soft. Then you got Astro on the ace, but you can't do much work with the gadget until you cleared off the walls first. And that's also where the grenades are very handy. What do you know? FaZe, they have 6 of them. This is something that we see almost every single round these days. At least 4 grenades and sometimes all the way up to 8 in a single round.
Wow, this is definitely the nade meta, that is for certain. It is not just the fact that we have more operators that are in the meta with grenades than usual, but also the fact that these yellow pings empower the nades so effectively. And even though it is not a new addition to the game, I feel like more teams are starting to get the hang of how to use those pings to their advantage. And instead of focusing on comms, they've put their interests and efforts elsewhere.
Yeah, good drone work really goes a long way with the yellow ping addition. Now, yeah, droning gets you information, but it gets you a pixel perfect accuracy for where to throw grenades or where to go for a wall bang or a floor bang. And that's kind of the change that we've been seeing, because you can try and explain there's a guy next to a dining table. Oh, well, anything just found a bullet. That's unfortunate. That's the end of the board. Gone 6 and nades are now out of the equation. But yeah, trying to explain where Cyber is. He's somewhere near the fireplace double door, but outside, not inside, and good luck C4ing that. Yellow ping makes it a lot easier.
Bullet has been an early death in every single round thus far. Aniton now gets some repayment from Cameraman, paying for his crimes.
Crimes plural, huh?
Yeah, multiple crimes, because Aniton has been involved in those early picks as well. Like we said, Bullet on the wrong side of the equation, Aniton usually on the right side of it. That's another alibi clone. Decoy set down below to distract by Kitchen. After FaZe clear out this top floor, it'll be a quick journey to the main floor and then down into the basement. They've got the stairs controls they need, but they'll run headfirst into Ayagator. He's got the shotgun out, the mute waiting, and a flashbang will move him from his spot. He still gets hit with it, still blinded, but can re-engage now as it's come to be. But Cameraman swings a beautiful shot and no damage is done whatsoever. Cyclops losing control of blue, and FaZe can march forward. 1 second left, or 1 minute left.
Yeah, now we're almost down on side though as Astro walks through blue and Souls walks down the main stairs. Nate comes out and he strikes true, but a trade comes out from Suzu, but traded straight back from Astro himself. And now, that's it. He finds 2 to end up the round, and FaZe once again are walking through the map, walking through the site, finding every single kill, and with that grenade that opened up the possibility, beautifully done from them.
Eventually, the early picks going in favor of FaZe are going to cost CAG, but not that round, because it's CAG who gets pick number 1 upstairs in library. And well, I have to wonder exactly what happened through that mid-round. Were there just simply too many players from CAG who weren't on the bomb site? Because if you think about it, you're a sitting duck once that garage wall gets opened up, and it looked like it got opened up very early on by FaZe. So then you as a defender get restless because you can't play inside of garage, or else you're going to get pushed from that opening. So where do you go? You can go up top, you can play in lobby, you can play in bar, you can try to retake library upstairs. There's a lot of avenues.
There is, and this is exactly why opening up a door or a window, because, need I remind you, every window and every door is barricaded when the round begins. When you open up a window or a door, it can only get re-barricaded if a defender walks up there physically, holds the F key for 3 seconds, or if you go to the next round. So by opening up all these windows and all these doors, or even the reinforced walls, it creates an uneasy feeling for defenders. Where is the safe position? Where is the enemy? Is this window safe? Is there a guy outside the door? You never know. The Valkyrie is banned, you have no information outside the map, and you have very limited information inside the map. It's that same reason why the default cameras that are in the map are so important for attackers to kill, because because that means that you don't know where the attackers are. As a defender, you keep second-guessing the possibilities of an enemy and their whereabouts, and you don't really know what ground you have unless you're physically present in that specific room, and it's why you see the likes of BlackRay always roaming inside of dining and kitchen. That means that CAG knows that that small area of the map is theirs. Same thing with Anniton here on Chimney, so you can kind of start mapping out, well, what is our area on the map and what's the enemy's area of the map. And remember, the attackers always have the outside of the building in their favor because, well, it's where they spawn, and if defenders are outside, you'll get spotted after a couple of seconds.
Runouts aplenty, by the way, and they do happen. A lot of these APAC teams play hyper aggro and can go for jump outs. It used to be a telltale sign of Brazil as well, and a simplistic take would lead you to believe that it is still the same. Nitro Cell goes out now as we are 1 minute into live action. It's a heavy defense from CAG up above. As I say that, Gatorada drops down, and it looks like Library's actually opened up, but not before a Nitro Cell gets out from Gator, and Souls is as good as gone. Cameraman also on a shred of HP, so 2 players from FaZe either dead or walking significantly wounded.
Yeah, and Souls actually is a part of almost every single opening kill or death so far. Oh, that ADS Anniton just saved your life because that nail was between your feet, between your legs, and that would have taken you out with a guarantee. Thankfully, though, Jaeger, Suzu saved his teammate. What do you know? ADSs are really important, but so is swinging at the right moment. And that is Anniton, who gets one, but also loses the second.
He gets a little bit too cocky, but you know that the ace is going to keep walking up, and at some point you're going to have to swing. A miscalculation from the smoke. And dying a little bit early is not where you want to be, not if you, especially if you have those toxic canisters still in your pocket. And I don't think Anniton had expended all 3 of them, at least not from what I saw. So Adrenal Surge kicks in. It gives a lot more HP to Cameraman, who is close to death, and there's 1 remaining 4 bullet. This is a permanent health increase that you get every single time it comes in. FaZe Clan trail in numbers, and with the objective being in their hands, that's tough because it will essentially be a 2v4. When the diffuser starts to go down, if CAG read into it, they can collapse on the 2 last players of FaZe Clan and potentially overwhelm them.
Yeah, but same issue as the previous 2 rounds. There is no sledge on the board, limited verticality, and BlackRay out of dining might just pay off, but no, it's actually Bullet that finds the kill with that LMG and Adrenal Surge. There are none remaining. No more help to be had, but BlackRay, he finds one to Bullet. 3 versus 2 now in favor of CAG. They have so much map control because FaZe hasn't dealt with the Roman. Cameraman, you're all walking, but you're also limping because you're so low in health. Dropping this hatch is not gonna pay out because there's gonna be 2 players watching it there. Oh, actually...
He lands the shot, but
he does land an incredible shot.
You're absolutely correct. There's going to be 2 players watching, so it looks impressive, technically impressive, as he drops and kills one of them. But guess what? When there's 2, unless you're going to do a sweet 180 no scope, bro.
FaZe Clan, baby. Woo!
There you go. It is quite literally FaZe Clan, so it applies perfectly here. But Cameraman not obviously cut from that cloth. Spirited effort. A lot of this once again came down to FaZe Clan not being able to clear Chimney early. We saw on the last attempt that FaZe went onto this bomb site back in round number 1, CAG posted the smoke up by Chimney and nobody could shake him from that spot. You have the 1.5 on a gun with relatively low recoil, a good rate of fire, and the thing is that when you look at the FMG, it gets overshadowed by the shotgun because oftentimes you need that extra level of destruction. And the shotgun is really good at close range, and that's the way you're going to play most smokes. But when Mute got the shotgun added, it freed up Smoke to play a little bit more liberally, maybe spread out over the map, and start running that FMG. The setup that we saw from CAG above is to invest in those ADSs, the one that saved the Smoke's life, as you pointed out, but also a mirror window on that chimney wall, looking into library so the smoke can play it, and if anybody pushes them from inside a lobby, you've still got a cam up. You've got ADSs to keep you safe, and you have an ability to swing onto library as well. It's a very smart setup from CAG. It's not that unique, we've seen it before, but FaZe Clan have had trouble dealing with it for 2 rounds, and it means that Cyclops cannot go back to that same bar gaming bomb site as they've been successful both times. It'll be locked for the remainder of the first half.
That's also the beauty of Alibi. You spoke about the shotguns, where if you got the Mute with shotgun, well then Smoke and play FMG. Alibi does have that bailiff secondary pistol, but Alibi won't be in this round because that's the opening kill from from Astro. That is an unfortunate death, basically sitting on the window, trying to get cheeky. There was a Prisma as well, but the real one is the one to fall. No Bailiff on the board, but you do have the shotgun secondary, or the Frost secondary shotgun on hand as well from Anitun, so plenty of destruction will be available. Gatorada himself plays the MP5K, no shotgun in hand, because CAG, they want as many weapons as possible and they want them to be as well equipped for fights as they can. Now 1.5x on defense really gives you a ton of that value, because normally on defense you only have the 1.0x scope available to most of your weaponry. So boding well for CAG, but with a man down it's going to be a little bit tougher. FaZe Clan, they've lost a vertical player almost every single round, but this is the exception. Cyber is still alive with Diffuser in hand, but Bullet is the one to get one opening kill as well to follow it up. And then checks back, and Cypher, he says, I'll get one as well.
Anaton gets a big pick to try and keep the numbers close, but FaZe just double up on him upstairs, and like that, it's reduced the numbers that CAG have to just 2. But keep in mind, it was Suzu on the Maestro who helped keep this bomb site for CAG the last time they went here. Yep. It could possibly happen again, but the odds are very much not in their favor. FaZe Clan have 2 more players than they did before, and all of them are at full HP. Well, I might have spoken too soon, by the way, because the 2 remaining players just did a substantial amount of damage, narrowing it down to a 2v2. But Suzu's been boxed out of the bomb site, and despite shredding through a lot of Super Astro's HP, he didn't get the kill. The diffuser is upstairs, so Cameraman will be the one tasked with retrieving this. 1 minute to go. You could do some damage to the Ace of Astro by tasing away. Black Ray underneath the bomb site now. He's threading himself through the basement, and he can come up through West Main. If FaZe is not prepared for this, if FaZe do not have air jabs in this particular area, then they might be in trouble. Cameraman drops, he and Astro are side by side. They're going to zone out the Maestro, so it'll all come onto the shoulders of Black Ray, who now gets the spam pings. Walking back up, he tosses out an impact grenade. They know where he is, but he's not able to sheath it before Cameraman can get the kill. So instead, it's the Alda to burn through. But there's a double reinforced wall in front of Suzu, and his job of getting back to the bomb site is near impossible. He knows where they are. Damage done to Astro, but you do not peek Astro around a door frame. You'll get punished every single time. The deployable shield goes, so it was a smart play with that impact. But Black Ray, being a little bit too eager with those impact grenades, might have cost himself an opportunity on the flank to get a kill that could have set his team up better for success. FaZe Clan take the round, and we go into the very final round of the first half.
Yeah, it seemed like CAG had info on the planter of FaZe, but FaZe equally had a drone inside of West Main that knew that there was a flank coming from that basement staircase. And the impact, it was a good decision to begin off with. You couldn't really see the player, but the impact could do some damage to open up the wall. But then he got off the plant, he swung you. When you had that second impact in your hand, well, you can't really shoot back, so therefore you die. And that leaves CAG in a 1 versus 2. I would argue that Suzu could have pushed up and tried to play the 2 versus 2 more together. Try and see if there was a respawn from Astro. Perhaps he was going to look away and try and assist his teammate, but it all happened what happened. It's a 1 versus 1 2 times in a row, going in favor of FaZe, and Astro himself being really hot right now, both finding the opening pick of the last round as well as that final kill. And it was kind of funny because FaZe Clan, they actually got full side control. Both players were inside of kitchen and dining. Then they realized, oh, we left something extremely important upstairs. I wonder what that could be. Realized that they couldn't press F to plant diffuser, and then they had to go all the way back upstairs, pick it up, walk all the way back downstairs, and stop planting. And this is the thing. It's very hard for defenders to know the whereabouts of the diffuser because it's a very small physical object on the ground, and of course, there were no defenders upstairs once those first kills came through. So FaZe Clan themselves didn't even realize where the case was, and that just goes to speak to how difficult it is to track it. And with no Valkyrie being on the board, well, you're not gonna have info up above. Anitun now responds back with that lack of information, and he picks up the Echo. That should help them out. The Maestro, of course, gives you side information, but the Okais are movable, and therefore you can also assist the roam, you know, check the flanks, and also check the side.
And most importantly, if they stay up, knock the attacker out of the diffuse plant animation. So there have been lots of teams that have had a very good strategic idea of how to take a bomb site, but they haven't accounted for one sneaky little drone boy that can pop up to the ceiling and stop your plant in its tracks. Early action now as Astro's HP has been reduced by about 1/3. He's got Gatorada, the one that did some of that damage. That's about it though. No real re-engagement from CAG. This is their 4th bomb site, by the way, and FaZe are just going to bulldoze right in. Anderton gets 2, though, and tries to keep it close. He gets knocked away. They know now he's at Insolarium. He's got Gatorado with him. Plant going down from Astro in hand. Souls and Bullet to cover. There's a Yokai up. They have intel. They'll knock him out of it. But Anderton has to jiggle peek his way on in. He doesn't know what line of sight FaZe has. Trying to bait out a shot or two. Can't do it. Impact grenade goes off. Gatorado doesn't see the body. That buys more time for Anderton as Astro gets the diffuser off. Now, that puts us into a post-plant with FaZe Clan in a 3v2. Still holding on. They'll use Selmas to open up the bomb site. This gives less coverage to CAG. Bullet tucked in the corner. He guns down Gatorada. He had a slow start, but Bullet now has 4 kills to his name. Anderton in a 1v3. He drops. They'll hear the sound of it. And he doesn't have a single chance. There's just simply too many areas that he can't look at the same time. First half in the books. And it's FaZe 3, CAG 3.
Yeah, an even split before the swap, but honestly, the aggression that FaZe is showing right now and how well it's working is honestly extremely surprising. They didn't even use a single one of those Selma charges on the ace, because once they started planting, at 1:50 left, need I remind you, 1:50 left is when the plant started going down, and then they got denied by the Yokai and you start again. That is absolutely ridiculous. One of the faster plants that I've seen so far at Invite, and afterwards, he 180'd, opened up the wall to fireplace for an escape, and well, that just speaks. They didn't even use any utility. It's just pure gunplay, jumping in a window, finding picks, trading off each other, and playing off that man advantage, which they've been able to get the last 2 rounds in a row. So, how that side went, we had CAG picking up the first 2 rounds, and FaZe got 1, CAG got their 3rd, then their last remaining 2 rounds went in favor of FaZe back-to-back. That is a 3-3 side swap that we see right now. Now with FaZe in defense, no Vigil available to them. That was target banned by Cyclops, and the other way around, Cyclops on the attack with no Capita available as it was banned out by FaZe. Very, very clear target bans from both sides because they've been used in the past, and we know how effective FaZe are with the Vigil roaming.
I do like the target bans. Nice. So you'll see, you'll see what changes FaZe make. Mozzie comes out, and teams have been favoring the Commando a lot over the Roni. I didn't see what first weapon, the primary that Cyber is running. We'll wait.
It's gotta be the Roni.
Oh, he's got the pistol out, now he's on cams, for God's sake.
And show us the weapon, show us the money. What skin does he have? That's what I want to know, honestly. And the weapon kind of defines that, because there are some pilot program skins, and one of those, actually, nowadays you have both. Because CAG themselves, I believe, they have the weapon skin for the Roni. That's quite nice looking. TSM has it on the Commando. I believe there's 20% off on those Rainbow Six Pilot Program skins. So if you guys are in the game, open up the esports tab, pick up a skin from your favorite team, or all of them by any means. I won't judge. That's what I would do.
There's a Roni skin for Na'Vi. There's a Roni skin for CAG, and Cyber's running the Na'Vi one. Maybe a nod to a former champ as well, as Na'Vi won the Tokonami finals. Cyber taking, again, a lot of damage off the initial bit of contact, but just as before, he is not dead, he still exists. This is a kitchen defense on that first floor, the very first for FaZe Clan. Given the fact that Chalet was picked by CAG, FaZe going 3 for 3 on the first half is quite fine, I will say. And Chalet is at an interesting ebb and flow, where at one point it was an exceptionally attacker-favored map, and then teams stopped playing Garage downstairs, which at one point I think it had a 30% win rate for the defense, which was tremendously low. It had one of the worst win rates for a single bomb site in comp play. But after that, teams have now started going with a different rotation. Even if we are seeing more Garage defenses as of late, the win rate for the defenders on Chalet has peaked back up.
Yeah, we see a much slower pace CAG in that comparison of FaZe, because they're actually most of them outside the building. Gatorada haven't even left spawn. He's still making his way. You got Ayagator on side that library balcony. He's just holding still, watching for angles, and yeah, where are we going, CAG? Have you changed your mind? Have you changed the strat mid-ray? Well, it seems to be a Solarium take, but with all these walls being open in front of you, that's going to be difficult. You got multiple FaZe members on that side. Most of them, yes, they've gone back to kitchen. Cyber's the lone player up top. That means the ground is free for your taking, but time is also slipping away. You got the sledge on the board, you got Sophia, you can do verticality, but without a shadow of doubt.
No.
Down the staircase off the side.
He's on a drone through the window. Cyber could have very easily been shot. You do not go under drone when you were standing next to the window. A single bullet could have taken him out of action. 30 seconds to go, and the whole server is still alive. But because of Black Ray, no, they're not. Cameraman punished first, traded back. CAG's guns hitting their marks. They walk away with 2-1 for FaZe Clan. That burns 10 seconds off of the clock. Suzu delivering the payload down below with the diffuser. Astra hugging the wall. So wherever Suzu goes, you need to be wary of the rats that are lying in the corners, because those are indeed rat plays, as the analyst talked about before. Another from Black Ray, and they'll trade back and forth. And Black Ray with an ace. Incredible stuff. We don't see many of those. But when they're all going back and forth, it's Black Ray time and time again to get every single kill.
That might just be me, but that was like the most random ace ever, right? It was like a 1-for-1, but Black Ray somehow was the sole player to pick up every single kill that round. I thought he got a 2K or a 3K until the screen popped up on the board saying ace for Black Ray. I didn't even realize. Phenomenal. We haven't seen many of those this tournament, but Black Ray has now joined the ranks on that ace board. I also think we've had tactical timeout now, actually, to follow up.
Yeah, there seems to be a technical issue.
Technical or tactical, yeah.
We'll wait and see. The headset is not in use, it looks like. I can't...
It is down, though.
It is.
We'll just see what happens right now, as we will get back to you once we get the information. But either way.
We are being told that there's a technical issue somewhere. I don't know where, but I can tell you right now that the timer has been paused.
Yep. We'll just work on that and let's get back to you guys with an update once we get it. I will say almost every single technical problem has been solved extremely quickly at this event, with almost no problems at all for neither productions or any of the players. So kudos, thank you guys, thank you staff, thank you production, thank you observers, thank you players for not having a ton of issues, because sometimes they happen, but this time around they do not. And that's something we all love to see, because downtime is one of those killers of joy, because all we want to do is watch and spectate Rainbow Six Siege.
Well, I don't know if things are fixed, but teams are starting to pick operators again.
Yeah, they are.
We're being told that this tech issue might take a moment or so. Perfect time to not chase you away from this channel, but remind you that there is the second stream that's going on right now. I don't want to call it a companion stream, because both of these streams are on the same level.
Of course.
And this one isn't. The other stream is not supplementary. But if you want to go over and watch Dark Zero versus Furia, the URL is twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo.
Yep.
Go on over and see what's happening there. Spoilers inbound. From what I had heard, they both won a map, and now we are in map 3. So I'm not sure who's leading. I don't. Oh, we actually, hold on a second here. Beep, 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 beep. Breaking news. Deafen if you don't want spoilers. Fury is up 3-1 on map 3. So because it's map 3, you say, oh, who's winning? They both have a map. That's why they're on the third map right now. So Fury is up 3-1. And again, this has implications when it comes to the group. On that same channel, when the Furia DZ match finishes, Space Station will play Rogue. So that one as well has major implications for the groups, because while Space Station have qualified and will not be eliminated, FaZe, Rogue, and Cyclops are all in a position where one of them will go home today. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This is the last group where we don't know who's getting eliminated.
Makes it quite exciting, and Parker, we actually had our debut here on the beach stream, so I do very much agree. It is not supplementary, it is very much like an even, equal, individual stream, and then you have top-tier casters, top-tier analysts covering the same thing as we do here on the A stream, where we have been now 2 days in a row. Back in the game we go, we are now in the basement. That is FaZe Clan on the defense, Cyclops up on the attack, and if you guys just tuned in or somehow forgot what happened, we just saw a kitchen attack from Cyclops, where Black Ray himself found an ace. Something that we don't see very often. He's at 9 kills himself. And we saw Aya Gator. He 6-picked from the Monty onto the line. So the Monty will not be in play. That'll be Anyton if anybody who were to play it. Meanwhile, for the basement, I wouldn't say Monty is the greatest operator anyhow, but it can be quite alright in the right hands, and Anyton is very well suited for that. Suzu bringing out the floors, that's going to have great value this round once you start progressing on that utility. But for now, you need to start thinking about, well, what about the roam clear? Are you going to go and challenge FaZe up above? Are you going to just go straight down below and see what you can find? your money's worth. You only have a single hard breach of the Maverick. That's the Aniton on the board. 2 nades in his pocket, but no other hard breach available. No can openers, nothing of the kind. And that means limited breachability from the side of Cyclops. Surely they'll have to play around finding openings and finding picks, because 5v5 in a basement attack is going to be extremely difficult. We'll see once they progress. We have 2 guys trophy window. They've jumped in, but there's a clear line in the map of who owns what right now. And FaZe Clan, they don't care about dining, they don't care about kitchen, but they have a big emphasis on the bar gaming side and a little bit on library.
Well, they're going to want to stay in bar gaming because the bomb site's down below. So you got to hold on to that with as much gusto as you can, especially lobby. The moment that you lose control of lobby, you give up so much map control because the floor can be opened up, the hatch can be opened up, and you can watch rotations that come from connector if you have a sledge or a buck. That's why you'll tend to see defenders rotate up library stairs if the attackers don't have blue control to get an early pick. An adrenal surge goes off. That's the second one by my count. And a grenade gets tossed out as well to signal the fact that CAG are towards the back of this bomb site. And when I say back of the bomb site, I mean big garage. They've got a Maverick to carve through the steel. That's the only hard breacher that's being brought by CAG.
That's tough.
And it isn't exactly the hard breach you want on this bomb site. You usually want something else in tandem. That's why we saw Ace get brought out by FaZe Clan a number of times.
Yeah, and it's going to show just how weak this breach is. Yeah, you get a small hole, but that's all you're going to get so far. And, well, if you're a Cyclops, you're going to start working the trench wall too, because you need somehow to get inside the bomb site that isn't the door itself, because you got 5 guns in your face, and that's not going to work in your favor. But time is ticking, and Cyclops, they're actually making a run for their money. They're going somewhere else. They've completely evacuated basement with 2 players. They're looking to try and get cheeky, but Aniton, I think he's going to go and breach the other wall to try and get an angle into the bomb site.
I mean, I'm gesturing towards my watch, and hey, hold on a second. That actually kind of looks like a spooky face. Anyway, 20 seconds left to open up that part of the garage. Sure is a decision to be made, but it actually seems like Cyclops are going to pull it off. Suzu can walk in and get that diffuser planted. Nobody is watching this angle, and there he goes. You can see the mayhem from above. Cameraman isolated inside of connector. The rest of the team just being picked apart surgically, and Cyclops are geniuses. Aniton rotating over to the garage wall. He's got the kill hole and the line of sight to take down FaZe. They get caught rotating to deal with the diffuser, and Cyclops pick up their second round on attack. They are 1 round away from match point, 2 rounds away from putting FaZe down on Chalet.
I mean, you can question that rotation all you want with 25 seconds left, but thank the Lord, they managed to open up the trench wall. That's the entry that they needed and that they used. Suzu walked in, could start planting down diffuser, and Aniton got 2 or 3 kills from that snowmobile wall. Well done! Absolutely crazy. Never really heard of before, and well, if you're the last man standing, Aniton, you're not gonna have a really bad time because you're so far off the bomb site, yet so close, but with no way in, it really wouldn't matter. But if you get that many kills off that single hole, well, that's a lot of value that you can get. Absolutely crazy from Cyclops. They're gonna stick the line this time around as well. It's really great for the execute, basically making sure the defenders, they will be standing still. But at the very least, if they start moving around, they will get spotted by that red ping. So it makes the execute a little bit easier, and of course, it'll work the same way on the roam. Once you start getting into combat with your opponent of FaZe, pop that lion scan, and you'll see what happens. It's basically like magic. I'm not sure what the science is behind it exactly, because it only works for one team, not both of them, but that's just how it is. I guess you have to detect the feel for, you know, teammate gadgets, if anything.
Oh boy. All right, well, it's a bar gaming defense now for FaZe. They've been unsuccessful on every single bomb site that they've gone to, so why not keep that carousel going? Yeah. Ride it as long as you can.
Round and round we go. We are also going to bar. That is the first time that FaZe will defend this bomb site, because they started kitchen, they went basement, and now they are on bar. The 2 Bs back to back.
We saw 1 master bedroom office defense. That was it coming from CAG. It did not work at all. So I don't know if we're going to see it pop up again. This tends to be the bomb site that teams don't go to anymore. For a period of time, they didn't like the basement. And I gotta say, the meta of bomb sites for Chalet has been very entertaining. When it got reworked and basically became a whole new map, teams liked Bar Gaming and they liked Garage down below. The rest of the bomb sites, not as strong as they wanted to be. But then all of a sudden, that basement, with its miserable win rate for defenders, pushed teams upstairs. They started going more to kitchen. They started using master bedroom more. But now master bedroom's fallen out of vogue again. It's a cycle, man. And everything that's old becomes new and vice versa. While we were talking about that, there were nades that sailed in and almost claimed the life of the Wamai of Bullet, but he stands tall, not to be shaken away. Those are two sets of nades that were out from Anaton. Now it's Gadarata's turn to dump in those nades. Still trying to find the same Wamai, but nothing is connecting. Burning an Adrenal Surge and an EE1D, and all that's happened is Bullet has gotten back to the site, baiting in CAG. Souls with the first kill, Cyber traded off. It's tied at 4v4. Half of the round still to play, as it's just absolute mayhem between these teams. And it's in gunned down, as it's Astro to get that kill. CAG have control of library above, and start smashing through the floors. Nitro Cell goes off, it does not connect.
And the start question, is it time to slow down now, CAG? You've had real full speed on this round throughout the last 2 minutes, and now, yeah, it is indeed time. You had the 4v4, now it's 4v3 instead. You're gonna play this with one gun less, but you still have the sledge. Vertical play can start happening on the side, and if you can find the pick with that, that'll really, really swing the numbers in your favor. Souls is down below. Oh, actually, we see Astro on the flank. Very nicely done, Mr. Observer. Thank you for that. But I think it's read out by CAG because Gadarata is coming for the swing. They know he's somewhere in this area, but not quite exactly where. With 30 seconds left to go, I'm not sure if it's worth challenging. Gotta start making your way down those staircases, or because you cannot drop the hatch. It's reinforced, it is closed. You don't have many options.
And that's a kill to start off this execute. Gamerman takes down Gadarata, but he's not long for this earth as Suzu's there to do some significant damage. They've got him down, but they can't secure. All of a sudden, it's Astro now tearing through the top floor, getting back to the bomb site in a hurry. But CAG have control. Careman can't give any calls from above. Astro not seeing it, and they're stopped in their tracks. CAG making quick work of this half, and they're on match point.
I'm sure FaZe now regrets reinforcing those hatches up above because Astro could have really used somehow to get back to the bomb site quickly. He was on the flank, then Gadarata challenged, ran towards him, forcing Astro to run all the way back into Solarium, and that basically bought them enough time. Then they legged it to site. Suzu got 2 kills, one with the primary, there was an injure already on the ground, and a second with a pistol. Then they knew that flanker of Astro was earlier in the round on Piano. They flood the bomb site, they run deep, they start planting, and because the hatches weren't open and there was limited verticality being done on the floor, they could start planting with safety even though they had lost control up above. Astro had 1 HP, died to a single bullet, and therefore it didn't matter a whole lot. Match point now from the side of Cyclops, and I believe we now have our second timeout. Well, actually, technically, it's a first.
It was a technical issue. This is the first real timeout being used, though.
From FaZe as well. Makes sense. They're the ones that gotta claw it back now. They are down 3 rounds. They have yet to win a single one since the side swap. That doesn't bode well for you.
There's a lot of heavy petting in this timeout. Look at that, the embraces. Ah, so jovial. Trying to get them back at it mentally, and I know that for FaZe Clan, some of these players have had issues with that mental game on teams that they've been on in the past. Every single player of this squad, except for maybe Souls, has been in the LATAM scene at the top level for almost, if not longer, than half a decade. That is an incredible amount of time to go through team after team, roster after roster, and to be able to play at that level, that consistency, is unheard of. Now, of course, I'm assuming they drink from whatever well of life that Nesk also drinks from, because coming into today, Nesk had almost every single category in his name because of how dominant his performance has been. But getting back to FaZe Clan, a lot of these players on teams that they've had in the past, whether it be MIBR, whether it be Team Liquid, whether it be here on FaZe Clan, they have had issues letting their mental attitude sink them rather than their gameplay. So being able to pump up your team and keep them mentally in it is actually huge.
This is very interesting from Astro. He's actually ran all the way to car garage, reinforced all 4 walls, and put a kite claw on the wall as well, just for one of those panels. Second one goes to side. They've opened up the wall from the bomb side to the car garage itself, so they're extending out. But I don't think I've seen this in competitive play before at this level at least, and this of course counters directly what Cyclops did before, because they took car garage, they made their way up, and now you see the main wall is open, rotate into trench, nade now coming out. And it's, I mean, you could just use your gadget and torch open the wall, but I guess a nade does the trick as well. But
yeah,
you have the Ace this time, but Ace is on across the map. He's nowhere near the bomb site.
I'm not exactly sure what the thought process behind that was. I mean, unless you want the Ace to get over there eventually, or maybe try to bait out another Electric Claw, but by your count, you know that it's over by that big car garage, as you said.
He started mavericking the wall regardless, so then it could have been to try and flush out a player, do some damage, maybe clear some utility. I'm not entirely sure. Nice wall bank.
Whoa!
Really nice wall bank. Doesn't kill the player who's intending to kill off Anderson the Maverick, but he finds Sophia, and I think he'll be happy with just getting one of those two.
That's a rough one. The Zofia was there to watch, as you need some level of coverage. The thing is that you don't really have any operators that now can use a gadget to open up that wall, except for the Flores. So the Rotero drone will have to go over in that direction. I like the way that FaZe has changed this up. They are still focusing very heavily on that big car garage. That's where the emphasis is. 2 players stacked up, both Bullet and Astro, but Astro gets taken out by a nade. A follow-up could also come onto Bullet, but instead of engaging, he's peeled off. That's a wise move to do. Get away with your life intact. Realize that there is still a minute and a half of this round to go.
Yeah, and they've actually reinforced off the trench wall now, limiting the angles of Cyclops. Basically saying, we gave up car garage, now when you take it, you get less value. Sure, the main wall is still soft, it's still open, Gatorada, that's the wall he's staring at, but trench is reinforced off. That means Suzu or Anderson has to come into play on that trench side to now open back up the wall that used to be soft. That's exactly what Suzu will do. That's going to give you the entry in as it did the previous time around. But what do you have? 1 grenade to your name and 3 flashbangs. You'll have to use it well, have to use it wisely, because it's all you got.
Souls peeks the wrong way, and Suzu says, fine, I'll take that kill. It's not going to be all that hard. Anderson dropped from cameraman from above. The alibi still there, and now the stairway down from lobby to garage is where he'll go. Diffuser in hand for Suzu. Team sitting at a 3v3, and there's some hesitation, as I don't think they have intel as to where FaZe is. Gatorada rushes in. He thinks one's in blue, dragging away so many bullets. Suzu left to die now by Bullet, as it's Bullet to pick up 2 inside for the final one. Poorly played by CAG. They could have just got the plant down and covered. Why are some teams so allergic to planting the diffuser when they have lots of map control and they know it? Suzu could have easily gotten that diffuser down while somebody stood at that trench wall and just surveyed whatever happened from FaZe Clan. The timeout works, though it was a bit of a tenuous hold for a while there for FaZe Clan. Cyclops still sit on match point, but FaZe have somewhat narrowed this gap. 2 more rounds for FaZe Clan to push to overtime. That's the only way the Brazilian team is taking map 1.
Extremely odd that CAG wouldn't plant there. I fully agree. Suzu could have walked in, you had 2 players nearby to cover the plant. There was no C4, no toxic babes, no smoke on the board of FaZe Clan. It seemed extremely simple, then perhaps over-engineered, over-complicated from CAG. And we saw some 6-pick players, decisions being made. The Monty, the Osa, ended up being the Osa. It's a shield, but a different one at that. And this is a CAG special. They played it against Liquid on Bank, they played it against SSG on Chalet, and they're bringing out the same operator now against FaZe on Chalet as well. It's kind of interesting how Osa works as an operator, because the value you gain from her is really 50-50, right? Sometimes the value is great, sometimes the value isn't as much, and when you look at the side of FaZe, they have 1-2 C4s, but no impact, so you could argue that odds are kind of in your favor. Impacts is the most direct counter to the gadget. C4s, yeah, they are still explosive, they still do the damage, but they don't toss as far as of range, which means those shields are going to stay a little bit more safe. Cyber, looking for a cam, doesn't find any.
The thing that a lot of Mozzies don't realize is that if a pre-placed drone is there, shoot a pest at it. You've now got yourself a free drone. Yoink!
Yoink! It's very true. You can drive it around, be like, oh, I'm not an attacker, but on defense, wee, trying to score. It's kind of like a yokai. You know, you can drone your teammates around, figure out, are they flanking, are they not, where they're planting, etc. But it kind of sucks having to sit on defense on a cam because then you're not aware of your surroundings. That kind of means Mozzie is a roamer, but to use the gadget, you kind of need to come back to side to then safely use the gadget. And yeah, that's not always fun because you want to get active on the map, and that's exactly what FaZe are doing. CAG has to respond on this library balcony. We've seen this many times, many teams trying to pick it apart, but FaZe themselves are not inside library. They're just going to be playing on that chimney area. Meanwhile, with Terror Drone on the bomb side, almost takes out Cameraman.
It pushes him off of the spot, though, and I don't know if they were pushing him into an area where they thought they might be able to do something with it. Grenades go into library while Cameraman had peeled off, as you talked about. Now library has nobody from FaZe in it. Instead, they've moved over towards Piano, where they play side by side. And I also believe Cyber managed to get a drone. I don't know if it was successful, but the pest definitely went down. That Osa shield looking to be applied onto the window overlooking the lobby stairs into the basement. Astro's the only one who's had any damage done to him. Halfway point in this round. The bomb site is Kitchen. Still match point for Cyclops. They want to be able to put this one away without going to overtime. CAG have struggled to do that. They've made some winnable maps very close. It's been their major Achilles heel throughout this tournament. I don't know if they'll be able to do all that much to FaZe to change that, but all they need to do is win one of the final 3 rounds. They've already dropped one of those, so 2 more rounds. That's the math that we're looking at. Yeah, having a hard time closing out rounds has kind of been the name of the game for a lot of teams here, and with a minute left, it's going to come down to the last couple of seconds. Now, Suzu has brought out the thermite. That's going to bode very well, but we spoke about Mozzie earlier and catching drone for intel, and look at this drone inside a fireplace. A huge drone.
Absolute ginormous value. 1 smoke being used with both Suzu on thermite and Eniton on Osa brought 1 each. That means they have 4 total and 2 left to go. You got a nade over this wall, clear out the jammer, then breach the wall, and then you can start progression through the side. But every single member of CAG is inside a fireplace with the exception of Blackray holding the flank up above. Both smokes from Suzu have been used, and it's going to stop someone from pushing towards library stairs. Still 1 in the hands of Aniton. That's the Osa to toss it out, moving that second shield now closer to the breach. With the diffuser in hand, they're baiting FaZe in quite well. The drone is not particularly strong, but look at Astro. This is a rat position for him. They've discovered him, and now the last CAG members above are hunting down the Mozzie. Could it be a flawless round to give CAG map number 1? And APAC supremacy sure is on the menu today. Isn't it just extremely amazing how Osa becomes the star operator of that final round? You walk around with the shield in front of your face, you're baiting out the members of FaZe, they found 2 picks off of that play, and then you put down the shield, you can plant safely behind it. It's almost like a Monty, but it's almost more frustrating and more annoying. Aniton, MVP score-wise, 11 and 7. Suzu, I believe, with 12. Actually, it was Blackray or Suzu, I didn't really see it, on 12 kills as well. Absolutely huge map from CAG. It was the map pick, though. It absolutely was. That puts us on Villa next once we get into the second map. We've got some things to do before we get there. Long faces on FaZe Clan as the result that they wanted is not achieved. They had so much potential, and you can tell there's an awful lot of frustration. Just the spirited discussion, but they can very easily reel it in, prepare themselves for the next map. Like I said, Villa is up next, Nick. That is FaZe's map choice, so they're going to be far more comfortable there. And CAG, with their struggles to close out a series, have now given themselves a massive leg up over their opponents. But this is where things gets much tougher. You're going to be playing on 2 maps that your opponents are much better prepared for, and if you can't match them, you'll lose that plot, because after Villa comes Kafe. Yeah, and CAG are kind of known for whenever they're like massively in the lead, they start having almost too much fun with the game, and then that's kind of where things start slipping. We saw it against SSG where they managed to get 7 rounds in a row against CAG to bring it back, and you really don't want that to happen twice in a row. They really need to close it out if not cleanly 2-0, at least 2-1.
Absolutely, especially since CAG enters today as the team last in their group. We already know that Liquid and Space Station are sailing on into Stage 2 starting on Monday, but it's FaZe, Rogue, and CAG as the teams that are scrapping it out for that final spot. Now, if CAG win 2-0 and Rogue wins their match as well, it's FaZe Clan who ends up going home, which would be stunning. But so far, we've said goodbye to both Team 1 and BDS. These are two top-tier teams that have either won or finished in the top 4 of at least one event this year. So that's already 2 big upsets. Why not add a third? We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because we actually have to play Villain. Before we do that, we're going to throw to a break. But before I go anywhere, I'd like to remind you that on twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo, there is a current match between Dark Zero and Furia. I think they started around the same time as us, by the way, and now they're still in the middle of it. So if you want some entertainment, go give them a watch. If not, sit tight with us. Listen to the music. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. tune into our first map, then you missed a thrilling Chalet between Cyclops and FaZe Clan. Both teams fighting for their lives in their group, as one of these two teams will end up going home today. It's potential that Rogue could also go home too, by the way. That still exists, but it really depends on what happens in our next matchup. Nick, what stood out for you most on that Chalet map?
Honestly, FaZe's aggression, right? Sure, LATAM is aggressive, so are FaZe, they're from LATAM, but how well they played off pace. You know, minute and 50 seconds left, they're planting. How often do you see that? Almost never. And they didn't just do it a single round with a one-off strat, they did it multiple times throughout the attacking side of Chalet. On Villa, that's not going to be as easy. It is a more compact map, if you will, and it's not as easy to gain sight to or access to the bomb site. So FaZe will have to show a different approach on this next map.
Teams have to try a lot harder to turn Villa into a frag fest like we see on Chalet. Chalet being an open map, tons of destruction, the way that map control is held, Chalet often ends up with teams colliding violently. Villa is a lot more complex. There's a ton more steps to be done, and teams need to be far more practiced before they can grab that really crucial map control and pull off and execute. The killing that comes usually tends to be towards the tail end of the round. On your screen is the map summary from Chalet. It was picked by Cyclops Athlete Gaming. They win their map pick 7-4. No real standouts to me. The only thing that I really see is, despite that scoreline, the cost is quite jarring. It's not uncommon for, even on a team that loses 4-7, to have one or two players who are positive on that cost. There wasn't a single player on FaZe who was above a 1.0. On CAG, there's only one player below 1.0. So that goes to show you that the rounds that FaZe won were largely close rounds, whereas a lot of those CAG victories were far more decisive.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw that. Also, kind of talk about opening picks kind of all over the place, I'm not gonna lie. Most, or actually half the rounds on Chalet, whoever got the opening pick, it wouldn't matter a lot because it was traded immediately back within 2 or 3 seconds, which in my notes means that both teams kind of got the opening pick. It's not a fight back from 5 versus 5 to a 4 versus 4. So both teams, when they get explosive, they usually have either somebody nearby to trade it back, or something happens somewhere else on the map that evens back the man score. Chalet is done and dusted. We're heading on to Villa, our second map of this series. Just want to remind you guys that if FaZe manages to win, we're going to a third map of Kafe. First map is coming out. Cyclops are taking in, I was going to say Intero off the board because they Retero drones. They're taking Flores off the board, who has those Retero drones. And then followed up by that, we got Hibana as well. That is one hard breach of many. It's not going to impact things too much. You got the Ace, you got the Thermite, you got the Maverick. Unless, of course, you see a double hard breach ban. But that's not this case this time around. Valkyrie follows along. Same story as Chalet. We don't want to have the information on the board. We don't want to have to play IQ. It's so boring. We don't like it. And also, we want more grenades, more projectiles. So, by banning out the Valkyrie, that's what you can get. The last operator will be the Mira, so nothing out of the ordinary. Flores, very strong operator here in Villa. It is expected to be banned. It's no surprise. There's so many shields in play, so much self-destruction, and that's where he thrives.
All right, well, these bans, a stark contrast to our very first map. You go back and it was a Twitch Capital ban on Chalet. Two operators that you don't often see be given that spotlight. Things a lot more normal with Flores and Hibana being banned out. Hibana in particular is oftentimes one of the most, if not the most, banned hard breacher. Flores is definitely up there as well. Valkyrie, a very common ban that we see on virtually every map. It's going to force teams to play differently without her on Villa, but I only say that because there are a couple times that we've seen a Valkyrie sneak through. Other than that, yeah, she tends to get banned. No, Mira is standard stuff. This is an operator that is banned almost every single time. What I do find intriguing is that, again, we will see Thatcher be available. Thatcher, despite being unbanned in that first map, really did not play a big role for either of the teams. So How big of a role will he be on this one? FaZe Clan on this first round are not bringing him again. So teams clearly don't want to have to deal with him. Instead, teams have been skewing more towards Maverick, because if you don't have the EMPs, but you bring a Maverick and then a Sledge or a Buck or a Zofia or even a Flores, who's banned, I'd like to remind you, you can open up that soft wall. And the big thing is Maverick brings nades. And nades right now, they're so hot. So hot, so hot right now.
Not the word I would have used. That was an important or vital or crucial, but so hot also does the job justice, to be honest. And that's the thing, when you are on Villa, is that it can be quite tricky to get through those walls, so having Thatcher open at your disposal, if you would like to use him, can be quite beneficial. And of course, if you don't want to use him, you don't have to. That's a choice, freedom. That's the thing that we like, because that means you can play dynamically. Maybe half the rounds you play with the Thatcher, the other half you play without him. And the funny thing is, often we see Thatcher being banned, and then when he's not, he also doesn't really get played all that much, and that just goes to show, do teams just not like Thatcher existing in Rainbow Six Siege, or is it more of like a, we've gotten so used to Thatcher not being available to us that we don't even need to play him when he's finally open? I would say though, not having to ban the Thatcher means that we get more creative bans on the attacking side, because it allows for more freedom, and that's honestly nice for a change. I'm all for seeing new operators and different operators. It's the same reason why I get super excited every single season when the newest operator or second newest operator gets introduced into the pro scene, as we do have that grazing period of 3 months.
And speaking of the newest operator, the one that's been allowed in play is Osa. We saw her get used in a very crucial and even game-winning round for Cyclops previously. Thorn will become available in the season that follows the Six Invitational, but our favorite Irish defender is not available. Also, Rainbow Six teased what I'm assuming is a new season on Twitter today, and there will obviously be a new operator that comes with it. First kill goes to Bullet, by the way. FaZe Clan walk right in. They've taken out Gatorada, and that's the smoke down. That is a pretty bad operator to lose with over a minute to go.
Yeah, that's not good, and there wasn't really much support for him either, so when he was taken down, again, no trade inside, this will be an actual impactful opening kill, because you do play it out in that 5 versus 4 in a true fashion, not a 4v4 traded back. Anderton looking to get aggressive, but that might cost ya, because there's multiple enemies enemies from FaZe up on that top main stairs. But that's pretty much all you got going for you if you're a FaZe. You do have Cameraman now on 90 window, gets a gunfight, but doesn't want to swing just yet, because when you're on that rappel, you are quite limited.
It's an adrenal surge to go off as well. Suzu's still over by 90, and upside down rappel will be his undoing. This is going to have to be a tough shot on his end, but he doesn't see that he gets shot away in the ankles. If you don't have any feet, you can't really play the game. Sorry, Suzu, you're as good as gone. FaZe Clan asserting their dominance, and they'll lose their first player and cameraman to Black Ray, who's now assumed that position over by 90. Still staying there and has the attention of another member of FaZe, but with 15 seconds left, they got to get to the bomb site. Bullet finishing off A Gator, and there goes Anderson and Black Ray as well. FaZe Clan, in the snap of their fingers, clear out 3 final players from Cyclops, and the first round is FaZe's.
Not just that, but they're also keeping up the aggression from Chalet. We spoke about how fast they are proactive, getting the aggressive openings, and they did the exact same thing on the first round, and they got rewarded massively. They got good map control, top main stairs, office, 90 rappel from cameraman, and it was the first person to fall from CIG was the smoke. That is arguably the highest value operator that you can kill early on in the round, because typically if the smoke is alive with toxic babes in his pocket at the end of the round, you have to either go really fast or you have to wait to those last 10-15 seconds to be able to execute, because those toxic babes, they stall you out for so long. AVG, we did not find success. We're going to kitchen instead, and that is a kind of atypical approach to bomb site rotations. I would say like 80% of the time we see the first two bomb sites being top 4, AVG, and then Trophy. Now we're seeing Dining second. Also exactly why Anderton 6 picked the polls. That's like a pretty much a guarantee if you're on this bomb site. There will always be a polls. You need the information, you need the verticality, and you need to know if anybody's sneaking into sight from those basement stairs.
I really like the creativity that we see with some Electroclaws. If you go back to Chalet, there's an Electroclaw that you can put upstairs if you shoot away at the dining room table, and it'll get both of the panels down below onto that trench wall in Wine. There we just saw a cabinet getting shot out, an Electroclaw thrown in on a separate room, but still working on the pantry reinforcement. So Good stuff, honestly, and the creativity that comes in is quite high. The difference is that as good as that Electroclaw is, you've got both a Maverick and a potential Thatcher on the board as well. So the Electroclaw, while good, can be easily dealt with because of the tools that these teams have. Also, a creative Electroclaw, if you bring an IQ, all the creativity in the world isn't going to help you conceal yourself from her gadget. But because IQ is often seen as a niche pick on a lot of these sites, she does not bring any destructive capabilities. It means that a Kaid can gain a lot of value from that, especially if a team like FaZe Clan is not running that Thatcher.
CAG really playing conservative on Villa compared to that of Chalet. They only have one person really roaming, that's Black Gray inside of Library, and even he now is in the basement. Will have to go up the red stairs or back to side via Pantry. On Chalet, we saw players from CAG kind of spread thin. They were playing kitchen dining, they were playing upstairs, usually halfway across the map, and on Villa, very different story. Half of them are on side, one person up above now, and one person was inside of Library early in the round before it dropped down to the basement. That just means that FaZe Clan will have an easier time to progress through the map, and they will lose less drones. They still have 7 left. That's quite alright. That means the flanks will be covered, and so will the droning for the bomb side. So now, start figuring out what approach do you want, FaZe. You have verticality available, or so you thought, because Suzu, he's stuck around.
And what a punishing play by Suzu. Cyber walks in completely blind and he face checks the wrong room. Just like that, the advantage goes to CAG. There's no follow-up either. I wonder where the Pulse is playing of Anaton, and I wonder where the intel is going to come from. Ah, the common spot for a Pulse. Down below, sampling some of the finest wines, but also on that cardiac sensor, waiting for someone to wander into range with a heartbeat intact. Another kill comes in now with Anaton, but Astro's in the middle of the bomb site. Soul's taking an awful lot of damage. Anaton fires back. Soul's down below, as now Cameraman is gone, and Astro, if one kill, denying a flawless, but still, this is dire straits.
It is, and it almost seemed like FaZe kind of gave up. They just said, let's just walk into side, but Diffuser was in the basement, found by Anaton. That means you cannot plant the Diffuser, you cannot win the round, and ultimately CAG, they won every single gunfight as well, so there really wasn't any hope from FaZe there. I like the aggressive play, I like that they tried something different, but I also do think that they thought, you know what, this round, bit of a flop, it's alright, we can go next.
Absolutely, and that honestly really started with Cyber from above. You have the top floor control, or so you think. A sledge established inside of that part of the map, either in Master, where there's a hatch that allows you to drop down into Laundry, or over by Statuary, where you can tear up that floor, same as most maps, and flush the defenders out of common spots, while also being able to cover in a post plant and drop nades down to act as zoning work. It is really hard if you do not play at a top level to explain to you how powerful a position that is. Think about it, right there. You make defenders have to move, oftentimes into areas where other attackers can be waiting for you. Easy kills for those attackers. If a plant goes down and you haven't moved any defenders out of the way, you can also now stay above and be in a much safer spot to watch as the diffuser gets planted, and then in the post plant. And then third, you can zone with those nades. All one operator, one spot. And when you lose your life, because you don't drone it out, not only do you fail to gain control of one of the most critical parts of the map, but you've also lost an operator that is imperative for when the execute happens. After that, FaZe tried to pivot very quickly. They decided to go for a rush into the bomb site, and Cyclops, simply by the way that the bomb site works and the way they were set up, were prepared for it because nothing else FaZe had done would help them or conceal them when the push came in.
Certainly. And Cyber on Chalet, similar issue. He was the first player to fall, or at the very least, every time FaZe Clan got the ground they wanted, the sledge wasn't alive to do any of the vertical play. That was Cyber, now on Chalet, now on Villa, suffering that same fate. If you are FaZe Clan, you're gonna take as much map as possible, but definitely the floor above the bomb site. But if Cyber is dead, that really won't matter, so you gotta start wondering, maybe it's time to take you off the entry. We are now unliving, by the way, so the crazy daisiness of the bomb site rotation continues for CAG, because this is extremely abnormal.
No trophy statuary defense in the first 3 bomb site rotation for Cyclops Athlete Gaming. You pointed it out, Living Room Library being this bomb site. Run by a couple teams in a variety of different regions, seen an awful lot in North America, but as a bomb site, still really hasn't passed the smell test. And Suzu is the first casualty Again, Cyclops have lost their smoke. Now they also lose their pulse. Two incredibly strong operators for denial and for information, unavailable to Cyclops, and immediately FaZe Clan know what they have and know how they can take control of the bomb site and not face that same level of denial because the smoke is gone.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit afraid that FaZe was gonna run it into side of those two opening picks. They've been playing so aggressive so far, but maybe that last round kind of taught them a lesson that once you have the advantage, you gotta stick your ground and stick your guns up. But Iagator, he finds Bullet now for free.
And Bullet was in the site, by the way.
Yeah,
so
alone.
Iagator pops out, gets the kill, immediately goes right back in. As you pointed out, there are trap operators in play. You don't want to just rush on in, but at the same time, at what point does FaZe pull off this execute? Now Iagator is down for the count. 2 players left for CAG, that's it, and it gets even worse now the mute is gone. A Warden to try and stop this, and he might look the wrong way. He finds one, swats away cameraman, but 2 players from FaZe in the same vicinity means that they strike back quite easily, and FaZe regain the lead.
And I was saying that how FaZe, they don't go prematurely, but Bullet goes in single-handedly, all alone with no help. He gets taken out, but, I mean, if you get the opening kills, and 2 of those indeed, you can sacrifice 1 soldier for the greater good of the round. Bullet, I'm not sure if you're gonna do that again, but I mean, at least he got some information. Trade back was not from Souls on that window, and Souls really being a great player in the series, just like it was in the previous, huge player for FaZe. And we spoke a little bit about the history of FaZe Clan earlier. Cameraman and Astro is an extremely long-lasting duo. They have been separated before for a brief moment where there was a change of teams, change of orgs, etc. But they are ultimately back together once again. And when that happened, every single fan of those 2 players went, ah, we like that. My heart is now whole again, because seeing your 2 favorite players or a duo separated is never nice to see.
Man, I remember all the way back when they played on, what team was it? Was it Font Energy that they played on back in the day before they got picked up by FaZe Clan? And then at some point, the roster ended up departing. Cyber went over to MIBR after that dreadful run at SI, when that old roster that had Yuna, it had Mav on it, it basically imploded. And now Mav and Yuna are no longer playing in Tier 1. Astro and Camera are reunited yet again, and it's really nice to see. But the one thing that Cameraman touched upon in his interview before we got into the actual group stage was how flexible Astro can be. He used to play a very linear role. He used to almost exclusively play Twitch.
Yes.
He would almost exclusively play Ashe if Twitch wasn't available, and he would play the same style. And it was very one-dimensional, and if he got shut down, he provided very limited value to his team. That's not the case anymore. Astro's been playing secondary support a number of times. They might put a Zofia in his hands as well. That flexibility and the utility that he can bring to a team is very different from the Astro a couple years ago, and it's made him a much more well-rounded player.
Speaks to the growth of them as well. I mean, a lot of Siege pros, they were quite young back when they first began their career. I mean, maybe next time. Yeah, most of us players were very young when we started, and now we've grown older, and as that happens, I mean, we're all say you start as an Ashe main, right? Then you become a flex player, and then eventually second support, and then primary support, and then, what do you know, maybe a coach or just straight to retirement. But either way, Astro, he's learned, so has Cameraman, and so has Cyber, because they're now onto side partner.
Oh my god, and all of Cyclops are basically dead at this point. FaZe Clan just pummeling CAG, leaving Suzu and Gatorada. Now, Suzu was the one who went sight unseen inside a vault. Good for 1 kill, but the shotgun of Gatorada will not land after Suzu picks 1 and then gets dropped in the process. Again, FaZe Clan snap their fingers, and then everybody falls.
Yep.
I like this ruthlessness that you talked about for FaZe to immediately assess where the weak point is and overrun the defenders.
It's really hard to really, I wouldn't say like commentate on, because like nothing's happening and boom, switch turned on. Now we're gonna rush the bomb site, get 3 opening kills, 2 versus 5, win the round, plant down, boom. That is the end of the round for FaZe. Beautifully done with the very decisive aggression that we see multiple times. And there was the, didn't even check the corner. So fast. You'd think that is a 5-speed and not a 3-speed. And that's just how it is sometimes. Ashe had that similar. talk about her being faster than other operators. Tactical timeout from CAG makes good sense. You're down 1 and 3. You want to talk about how to get back into this round. Remember, you do have 2 more rounds on the defense before that side swap, but then it really is do or die, and you want to get as good and as clean of a swap as possible. Get that 4-2 or 3-3 ideally.
Well, this is the first timeout that we've seen from this team so far. The timeout that was burned in the very first map back at the end of round number 9 was by FaZe Clan. So both teams now getting a time set aside to just settle themselves down. For those of you that don't know how the timeout system works, both teams get 1 timeout per map, not per side, per map. So this is it for CAG. The only other time they get to talk to their coach and each other is if FaZe takes a timeout. That's it, because then both teams will be able to spend that time talking amongst themselves. So while CAG gets to settle their nerves, potentially come up with a strategy that is working more effectively than what we've seen employed thus far, FaZe Clan also get to do the same.
I think if you're CAG, you kind of gotta run against the wall right now, because the wall is really closing in. The wall is FaZe Clan, and they're really, really quick. Play it more like you did on Chalet. Get out on the map, challenge FaZe on the entries, make their life difficult and miserable. Don't give them the ground they want, don't give them the 1 versus 1s that they want, don't give them the opportunity to drone out the bomb site and be like, oh, it's pretty easy. Walk on in, find 3 kills, and then the round is basically over. If anything, try to get those 1v1s off the bomb site, the ones that you won on Chalet, how you got the opening kills and how you played off one another. Instead, CAG kind of been playing in corners. It's not working, it's not their playstyle. They're going back to dining kitchen, they got the post, they got the capcan, now they just gotta make it work.
Well, they like the trap operators, and they like the ability to slow them down. I also think that CAG just simply likes the gun as well, because that thing can absolutely fry. It comes with a 1.5 times scope as well. And there are times where it's not necessarily what they add strategically.
Oh, no.
It's what they add in terms of fragging. And in this round, what Gatorada will add in terms of fragging is exactly nothing. 15 seconds in, he's dead. First pick goes to FaZe Clan real early.
That's gonna suck. That's your tactical timeout used just before the round started. And I mean, that wasn't even an intentional kill. Trying to open up the barricade, shot you through that, plus the wall into triple, into statue, and well, you're just gone now. That's how the cookie crumbles. And now, CAG mostly on this side. They don't have much going for them. Sure, there is a player halfway across the map in that library area, but you're not gonna get a whole lot of value. Run out, it's a nice try, but it's desperate. And a lot of follow. Astro's on site. What is happening? I mean, the Tigers now have the bomb site, Susu inside of Clock, Black Rays all the way in library. It doesn't seem like a dynamic defense, but it is. Triple kill for Astro, and the last defender might just fall in just a moment as we got Bullet outside the building still. Hasn't even gone inside. He has 150 bullets to spare, but he won't need that many as Black Ray is low in health. You're gonna be running away, maybe do a second timeout here, talk to your team. Guys, what the F is going on? Why is it happening the way it is? We are better than this, and it should not be going this way. We just had a tactical timeout, and we're about to get against a flawless round against us.
I mean, I still consider this a flawless. Even if you didn't kill everybody, the fact that you end the round with your life intact, that's a flawless one. So you just extend the timeout. Instead of having a 30-second timeout, you have a 3-minute-ish timeout for CAG to try to regroup. Cameraman ends up finding Black Ray, and that's all she wrote. It's 4-1 for FaZe Clan. They are looking so dominant and so formidable. The CAG that we witnessed on Chalet has disappeared at this point. They are being beaten all over the map on entries through the mid-round, in the closing round. The only real good shout that we saw was on the same bomb site here in Dining before, and you know what, I gotta say, it was a relatively confident and controlled round for CAG. They got that early pick, they had intel down below, the pulse helped give information, and then the moment that you saw that blunder from FaZe Clan, which is what really set it off, CAG responded well. But even that round, I pin that more on FaZe Clan trying to pivot too hard, run into the bomb site after losing Cyber and failing, than I do give credit to the CAG team. So with that said, what could have been a 5-0 is a 4-1 in favor of FaZe Clan. They've won this first half here on Villa. This is their map. They look so strong on it. CAG are struggling to keep up because FaZe Clan are the same killing machine that we saw through much of their run at the Sweden Major.
Yep, and this is typically, I mean, when we talk Villa, we talk defense, we talk 3-3 side swap, 4-2 side swap, usually in favor of the defenders. And sure, the Thatcher's open, but it hasn't been played. FaZe Clan, they do not need it. All they need are their guns. That's how they've won the majority of these rounds. It's not the utility, it's not really the grenades, it's certainly not the verticality, because Cyber on the sledge hasn't really done that good of a job this round. But honestly, the way FaZe Clan is playing, they don't need it. It's simply about the right aggression at the right time together, and that's how they managed to find so many openings back to back to back. You wouldn't think CAG would struggle with aggression because they are one of the more aggressive teams here, but I will say the way FaZe Clan has been playing has been extremely different from typical aggression. It's very much planned, but at the same time, oh so explosive. Another opening kill goes in favor of FaZe. That's Blackray off the board, Alibi off the board again.
That's 4 in a row for FaZe and 5 of 6 for this first half. This is an impressive tally for FaZe Clan, and for a roster like FaZe Clan that they have, they've shown some weaknesses at this event, and I think it's fair to admit that, but they also did back at that Swedish Major. They were not a perfect team. They're a scrappy team. They can play a style that is unique to themselves and really do well based off of information they get when on attack. So far, Villa is absolutely their map, and having Blackray be 2-6 is devastating for this team. Nobody from CAG through these 6 rounds have been proficient at finding kills.
Oh, they haven't, and that's kind of what they need. And once again, Astro, he shows what's up. He's gotten so many kills to his name so far, but they want more. Suzu actually finds a kill, but it's instantly traded out by Cameraman. The efficiency from FaZe is unchallenged.
FaZe is playing so well around each other right now, and this is on a whole other level to what we saw back on Chalet. So while Bullet might not be available, the rest of FaZe is, and Adrenal Surge will steady their aim for a moment, give them a little bit of top-up in terms of HP, which Cameraman so desperately needed. He's down below, sitting on 6 and 3, getting droned in through Art Studio, will now head towards the stairs. Souls is the diffuser up there, they'll link arms with each other. Anakin around the model gets picked apart by Souls as its swinger be swung, and now it's Gadarada's turn in the line of fire. He manages to drag down Astro in the midst of the smoke, pushing up for a second. He's got marks, but the moment he gets back into the bomb site, Cyber says, we'll take that first half. 5-1 is the scoreline in favor of FaZe, and they are very quickly putting this map away to equalize and send us to Kafe.
I think CAG are very happy that was the last defending round, because I don't know how much longer they could take a beating for, to be honest with you. It's not really looking good, and it's definitely going to mess with your mental. It's never nice to just get absolutely floored by your opponent, and FaZe in almost every single aspect right now just playing a very clean game of Rainbow Six Siege. I want to remind you guys that FaZe, they have showed Villa before, meaning CAG has some studying that they would have had to do in preparation for this match. They played Villa in one of their first games against Rogue. It was a 7-3 in favor of FaZe. They won that one. Then they played SSG. It was a 7-8. So SSG managed to win. That was an incredibly close game that came down to multiple clutch moments from SSG to end out the map with the victory. But that means if you can go that far against SSG and Villa, I mean, yeah, 5-1 against Cyclops seems quite common in that case. But if CAG can have as good attacks as we just saw from FaZe, that means this match or this series will tie up really nicely and get much more closer together in a couple of rounds. Unless, of course, FaZe can just end it out right here, and then we go third map. CAG, you have a massive task in front of you. The operators you brought are Ace, Finger, Lion, Ayana, and the Buck. This is quite flexible and also a bit different from that of FaZe. Now, no sledge, but you got the Buck. That means you can go below and do vertically up to the floor instead of having to go above and do it the other way around like you typically would.
CAG run the DMR on the Lion, and I mean, I gotta ask why we see things like this. I had a suspicion that when they ran a Twitch and the Lion yesterday, that they both ran this 417 because they wanted to mask the Lion. They 6-picked the Lion, run the DMR, you hear the DMR, you don't immediately think of a Lion. The V308, Lion's usual AR, is very distinct. The moment you hear it, you know there's a Lion. If you want to conceal it, you gotta run a weapon that sounds like another. And just like this, 45 seconds into action, 50 seconds into action, it's a quick take from Cyclops downstairs with 2 players from FaZe sitting on that same staircase, but they're not being challenged at the moment. CAG, after hitting one of those adrenal surges and an EE1D, they back off, and they've now realized that maybe rushing into the bomb site, taking up quick control of the areas outside of it, is not the way to go.
You know, whenever you pick the Lion, you can actually see his scanner in the air. So there are certain spots on every single map that will allow you to check if the enemy has a Lion right when the round begins. That's something teams learned back when Lion was meta, when he first got released, when he was quite strong. And well, I don't really think teams do it nowadays, but just a fun fact. You can check, you don't need to hear the gun sound, but I do agree with your point. It can be quite nice to mask it with that DMR. I didn't even think about it until you said it. Susu on 90 Repel has a Claymore for that cover. That means that if anybody jumps out down below, they will trade at worst, and at best, Susu will just stay alive for free. A nice C4 lineup from Cameraman does not go out, but it was going to go above that reinforced wall onto 90 window, and this is Latam with their predefined angles and lineups that they love.
Nitro Cell is there. That'll be the diffuser as well. So if the Nitro Cell goes off successfully, diffuser goes down on that window, you need someone to rotate an awfully large distance to retrieve the case and then get into the bomb site. So you have to be very careful if you're CAG, but CAG can't be too careful because then they're playing too passive. Up Black Ray walks now, that lineup's still there. A Nitro Cell could get tossed on up, but instead they've peeled back from FaZe Clan. 90 control for CAG. They need to get that mute jammer on the other side of the vault wall to put a hole in the defense.
The Buck's nice.
And that's exactly what the Buck is going to try to do. It looks like FaZe have vacated the premises and will now just simply play off of whatever soft destruction there is. Anaton is first to die with 18 seconds to go. That's a pretty late first kill. Black Ray toiling, but he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Astro walks away from that engagement. Both quite wounded, but still, that should have been a win for Cyclops. Astro picks up kill number 2, traded out by Suzu as CAG equalizes, and they slowly start to lose numbers again, and it's match point for FaZe Clan. They are indomitable here on Villa.
To be completely honest, I think Astro's having fun right now. He was drop-shotting members of CAG, hip-firing his opponent, finding 3 kills in that round. Really been an outstanding performer from FaZe Clan here on Villa. Even though playing secondary support on attack was usually second guy or first guy into side in that fray, finding kill after kill after kill, and even now in the side swap, Cyclops, they're not really having fun, and even on that round, it was 20 seconds left. They didn't get to side. It was actually so much in FaZe Clan's favor, they started running in towards the attackers to get the kills quicker than that of waiting for them to arrive on the bomb side. It's not looking good, Cyclops. You guys are just being absolutely crazy now. Anaton with the 6 pick does just that. How they won on Chalet on that very final round, that is how they're going to try and figure out how to get the second one here on Villa. It's the Osa, but you need a lot more than just the operator itself to break apart the round. You need to get some kills on the board and get really active with your guns, because that's where FaZe are punishing you time and time again. 10-3 from Astro, need I remind you.
Yeah, Astro really putting on a clinic now. Cyber as well, when he died as the Sledge in that fateful round, the only round that Cyclops has won so far. I'm pretty sure Astro or Cyber was 1-1 at that point. So since then, picking up 5 kills over the next 5 rounds is pretty good. I mean, that means you're at least trading yourself out. I know it's not a flashy number, and people will fixate on the 10s, the 9s, the 14s that we see. But if you're playing a role where you're not engaged in a lot of gunfights and you have jobs to be done that involve utility and droning, if you're trading yourself out every round, that's quite good, frankly.
No, it is. I mean, going 1-for-1 is a great stat. Being neutral, great stat. Being negative, not so much. And being positive is absolutely amazing. And again, we always say this, the stats themselves, point blank, don't have that much value. The context really matters. We saw earlier in the TSM Elevate game that Saber had 1 kill to his name, but then all of a sudden he clutched a 1 versus 3. Those 3 kills have so much more value than that of 5 of someone else, because the 3 kills equaled a sole round in itself. I mean, you can have 3 1 versus 1 clutches back to back. That is 3 kills, but also 3 rounds that goes into your team's pocket instead of your enemies. So impact really is an important thing, and for that we need context. But the only context we need is Cyber has a shotgun on the Ela, and once again, CAG cannot find a single opening kill since the 2nd round.
It's always amusing hearing that Ela shotgun. I don't know what it is, but the sound it makes. At least CAG have some firepower going for them. Even though this has been a woefully bad performance on Villa, at least they fire back. They take souls out of action. That's the smoke down again. I don't know what it is with smokes dying early on this map, but it's critically important that smokes stay alive. Now it's Cyber's turn to fall as Anaton is down for the count. That means no Osa shields available.
Absolutely true. I thought for a small second it was a dining bomb set because everyone is downstairs, but no, we're actually upstairs, guys. Cameraman's in the basement. We got some members of CAG on the 1st floor, and we got most of FaZe Clan on that 2nd floor. Now, minute left, but Blackray says, you know what? I think there's someone down here. Let me see if I can find him. Cameraman full on health, Blackray a little bit less than half. That means Favor goes one way, but Favor doesn't matter in this case, and in fact, it was Suzu with that AK-12 that found the kill instead.
FaZe are in a position that they haven't been in quite a while. They're actually trailing in terms of man count. And 40 seconds left, though, with Astro and Bullet on the board. You can't count them out whatsoever, especially given the fact that both Blackray and Suzu are 1 to 2 bullets away from death. In this case, closer to those 2 bullets. There's still some utility as well. The Gemini exists for Blackray if they want to drone in the final 25 seconds. There's still the lifeline from Aegator that has ammunition in it. And the last Selma also just went off. So there are things working for CAG as they look to stay alive. They want to stave off Kafe as long as possible, if not outright win the map. But your first bet is get to overtime. Bullet engaging, and he loses this one. No, 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 this is not happening. I can't believe what I just witnessed. Astro hides in the corner, and they run right by him. It's messy, but it works. And FaZe Clan, in the most baffling way possible, secure the 7th round to send us to map 3.
If you're a CAG, you just forget what just happened on Villa. Just go into 3rd map, completely refreshed. If you are Astro or if you are FaZe, this is one of those highlight reels, the montages, if you will. You can take almost every single round, put into a montage and be like, that was pretty good. That was pretty efficient. That was pretty fast, pretty aggressive. And that really speaks the entire story for this map. Astro himself, I will say MVP of Villa. No shot it was anybody else. He played so well each and every single round. Always have an impact at the very end, closing out that 1v3, finding 2 kills, and then of course, time ran out as he ran away.
You are absolutely correct. You have to forget that map ever existed and look at Kafe and go, all right, we will recenter ourselves, check our chakras, check our pulses, maybe drink some water, meditate, and then prepare yourself for what comes next, because you got to shake off whatever bad vibes the team has. That is a dreadfully bad map that ends up with a very embarrassing end to it. But I mean, that's also partially CAG's doing. You don't have the time to check corners and drone again when there's only 10 seconds left. Yep. So Astro hides at an angle that, frankly, you're not expecting. And when you head through astronomy, very close to Astro's name, and you go into the doorway inside a statuary, the only angle that they're going to see Astro at is if somebody swings the doorway to Master. But I have a feeling that that player from Cyclops was watching connector area and the top of main stairs so that they didn't get pushed from that direction. No intel means you get killed in embarrassingly frustrating ways, and that's exactly what happened. Let's dive into this after the break, though, because there's a lot to talk about, and we still have a 3rd map now. CAG are fighting for their lives, as are FaZe Clan. It's looking worse and worse for CAG to make it out of this group intact. They might end up going home Let's go to a break and then come back with our third map. Well, it certainly wasn't pretty for either team, but map 2 goes in favor of FaZe Clan. A much more decisive result than what we saw from CAG when they won their map of Chalet. Aggression was what you said was the hallmark of FaZe on that first map, and despite them not winning, you still said they brought it. How does that stack up to what we just saw on Villa?
I mean, they kept it up, and I mean, Astro, look at these stats: 11-3 plus 800% cost, 2 opening kills, 1.73 rating. Those are huge numbers. Meanwhile, not a single player from CAG were positive.
This is the inverse, by the way. But it's actually crazy because both Suzu and Aegator come close to a 1.0 rating, despite the fact that they got absolutely demolished, whereas FaZe on that Chalet map, as aggressive as they were, they still had struggles in a lot of those rounds, and they got blown out by Cyclops a number of times.
Yeah, not the case this time around. The aggression really worked for FaZe, playing off pace and hitting the side a little bit earlier than you usually see. Astro, as we said a couple times, absolute key player, but it really was a group effort from the entire team of FaZe that really put all their effort into making sure that we're gonna see a third map. We want to get this win on Villa, and what happened on Chalet, it's not gonna happen again to us.
One thing to note as well is with them losing that second map, Cyclops is now officially eliminated from the Six Invitational, and they have to know that. They needed all 3 points to jump up to a position where they would stick around. Now, even if they win, they finish with 2 points. That's not good enough to overcome Rogue. That's it for Cyclops. So we know the 4 teams that we have said goodbye to. I wish I had Monte Cristo's Aztec death whistle that he used at the Mexican Major, because I would blow it 4 times for Team BDS, Sandbox, Team 1, and now Cyclops Athlete Gaming. How much motivation do you have going into this map, knowing that your run here at SI just came to an end? I don't know if I'm giving it the same level of effort, but we'll see what comes about, as it's the final map between these 2 teams. Kafe, Cyclops starting on defense, FaZe Clan on attack.
I think there's 2 ways to go about it. Either you go in, you have fun, you go out with a smile, right? You know you're going home, you might as well get one last memory with the lads. Or you can say, revenge tour. We want to go out on a W in the sense that we're taking down FaZe. We don't care about having fun. The fun is the winning. We start out the operator bands now. Similar fashion, Flores is first off the board. That is, of course, Cyclops' choice both times. In FaZe Clan, they say that Thatcher is next, which is funny, because Thatcher has been open, but not really been used in the previous maps. This is Kafe. You can do some more tricky stuff with the Kaid available. The question then comes, Cyclops, do you keep the Kaid up, or do you ban it out? Because Latim, they do have some nasty strats. Valkyrie from FaZe, nothing out of the ordinary. Pretty standard all across the board. We'll see the very final ban if we get funky or if we stay casual.
Well, at least we see a Thatcher ban for the first time.
Funky, funky. I mean, it's kind of funky. That
is kind of funky.
Yeah.
I'll give you the funk on this one.
Yeah, it's very, very atypical. I don't think it has the greatest impact, really. You can maybe argue that Nuke becomes a little bit better and ratting around becomes a little bit better. The only way to replace the Banshees, which is Melusi's gadget, is with Ella traps or a trap in general or barbed wire. So if you're not really going to bring those on defense to substitute the missing Banshees, well, attackers can kind of walk on in. And Cyclops, they will be starting on the defensive side, which means they cannot bring this operator themselves. The bans, they work for both sides, not just the opposing one. Capcan being showcased the very first round. I think this will be a fun match because look at the lineup here. Vigil, Alibi, what was a Capcan is now turning into a beep beep boop. Mossy. It still speaks to the roam game, the aggression, the gunplay that CAG is known for. And I think that will actually get aggressive because they have to, right? You played aggressive on Chalet, it worked. Then you played arguably scared on Villa. Maybe it was the pressure knowing you had to win a clean 2-0. Or maybe it's just the nature of how Villa plays as a map. We truly will not know ever unless we ask the players after this series. But what I will know is that if I was a player on CAG or a coach, I would say it's pedal to the middle, jump out a window, trade 1-for-1, stop FaZe from being allowed to have the space to play aggressive. They should be questioning, guys, can we rush the bomb site? Can we plant? They should be worried about where are the players from CAG, instead of saying, oh, they're going to be hiding in a corner, we can just run on in and just gamble the 50-50. Cyber fell in that very second attack that we saw from FaZe and Villa because the FaZe was being careless. But after that, they never got punished again. CAG, now you gotta start doing it just like you did before.
All right, well, this is a cheeky C4. We've seen this a couple times. Anaton waiting for the call. I don't know if they have any intel at all or if it's just going to be a guess based on timing. The ace will go over and use his breach on the other hatch, open it up. And the Selma will go off on the other. This is actually quite smart. Anaton will let it go, and there goes the hatch. He immediately moves from that spot. Still tosses out the Nitro Cell, but not in the direction of the ace. Utility use from both of these teams. I don't know if anybody comes out ahead. Anaton obviously would have liked that C4 later on. There's still one more, or rather there's two more in play, but they've actually all been used already.
Every single C4. Opening kill from Anaton. Hey, it's looking better now for CAG. They got something going. They got the opening pick, but that didn't last very long. Astro finds one, so does Cameraman. That dynamic duo finding one each, and now FaZe have the advantage once again. Jump out, I like this very much, but the timing, oh, it is there. Cyber gets taken out, and Gazarada can jump back into side. There will not be a punishment because the cover is there from his teammate down below.
I'm actually a bit surprised that Astro didn't try to coordinate that appropriately. Because with the hop in from the window and that wall being soft, you could have very easily tagged the player on the other side of it. So, I don't know. I don't know why Astro wasn't a little bit more quick to the punch. But after all that action happens, both teams at a 3v3. No, the bomb site is not upstairs. Do not be fooled, even though it certainly looks that way. This is actually the mining bomb site, which I don't want to say is abnormal, but again, tends to have the lowest pick rate of all these sites on Kafe.
Yeah, but you took out Cyber. Again, the bulk, the verticality. That means only Astro can do a bit of vertical damage, as you had 2 breaching charges and 1 has now been used. Make that both. That means a little bit of issue will be given to the attackers, but not a whole ton. Defenders can now play somewhat comfortably inside of train. Of course, the hatch has been opened up with those Selma charges. That'll be one way for FaZe to walk on down. We'll see where else they choose to go. Right now, they're still trying to make their way through the map. They haven't decided just yet. They're still fighting vertically on this library defense. It is not the bomb site, but it is where Cyclops are holding.
Still waiting for the inevitable execute to happen here. 40 seconds have gone by and nothing has really happened. Still some discovery and jostling upstairs on that top floor.
Oh, that's
Black Ray just missed out on the double drop, but then he sees the Nomad, swings in. Here's the Nomad by the side. Easy for Black Ray. Pivoting, connecting. A beautiful play by him, but it's Bullet to the rescue. 2 players from CAG to be found, and he's not going to get either of them. Cyclops wins a war of attrition and take round 1.
Yep, that's the thing. Cyber, if you fall to the grave, there is no vertical on your side. FaZe Clan, if I can give you one advice, start playing Sledge and the Bug. In that case, if one of them dies, you always have the other. That is where the biggest punishment has been, and is how you lost that. Well, it was a, single round basically on Villa, but still the one round that you lost was due to that exact same situation of losing verticality. Twitch, an operator we spoke about earlier, with Astro usually being the one using her and her gadget and the F2 to the best of his ability, is now being picked up from Cyber instead. This is a stellar pick on Kafe. You have these dead spaces inside piano that defenders and attackers can't really play in, but drones can maneuver around, gain information, and when it's a Twitch drone, you can also zap around utility. And it bodes well, because it is a reading defense, and that will mean defenders will most likely extend up above, and we already see it now. Captains being put in the store, and this store in particular that we call trash is very tricky because it's a trash can and it actually hides the Captain trap. It's very hard to see. Now that is cheeky.
Well, the more you know, and I mean, trash is still somewhat useful, is it not, Nick?
Yes?
For energy. You burn it for energy.
Okay.
Incinerate it, and the garbage becomes something new. It's the circle. The circle.
So yes, it is valuable.
Life. Yes, it is.
That's good to know. I mean, I
we love carbon.
We do. Also, without recycling, right? Same thing. Be good to nature, and nature will be good to you. But in this case, in a match of Rainbow Six Siege, well, with all the explosiveness going around and all the wood being destroyed, we really don't love nature, do we? I mean, the floor is always made out of wood. We're basically doing a ton of damage to the forest in a sense. That's terrible.
That's a good way of looking at it, and is also true. That said, enough about environmentalism. We don't need to hug any trees here. The players that are repelling right now are hugging the walls. And again, this time, if you want to make sure that your Nitro Cell connects, what do you bring?
Not again.
You bring a pulse scanner.
I was gonna jump out. I mean, did it last round. It worked out great in his favor. Didn't do it this time. The timing again, very, very close, as the player that was rappelling there was Astro on the ace. He had just gone to the roof, and I guess the sound cue gave that away from Gatorada. He said, we'll stay inside. C4s, they keep getting tossed extremely early despite having a pulse. That means that pulse will lose a bit of value, but Gatorada, he gains some. He finds the opening kill onto Souls. That's the Sophia off the board.
It's just a small waste of utility is all it really is. It could be such better placed, especially as you said, because there is that pulse on the board. You have the time to scan where they are and gain information and then make something work. CAG on defense, currently making things work. Their first 2 picks on both Cameraman and Souls, and they emerge unscathed from those altercations.
That's the first time I think pretty much ever, or since the only round they found on the previous map of Villa, that they're looking this healthy and this good on the board. Of course, CAG had a great Chalet, but that was a long time ago.
No, that was...
Does Cap get trapped doing the work there? Huh? I think it was.
Bullet now the one taking damage as Astro will be retrieved by Bathroom. Gatorada still above. As you pointed out earlier on, this is a reading defense.
Oh, you see?
Cyber takes out Gatorada. Now he's inside of back bar. They've picked up the ace as well. So even though FaZe trail, there's been 1 pick on the CAG. Black Ray ever elusive downstairs by Pillar. He hears Cyber drop, and it's a bit of a messy shot, but he still has it working in his favor. He gets the kill. This is going well for Cyclops. They got pings from below now as FaZe with Astro on limited HP and Bullet on half HP as the 2 players from above. They'll tear through this floor, but they don't really see much. No player from CAG giving them any time of day. They've kept away. Not answering their calls, not answering their emails. Shotguns pointed at the drops, waiting for these FaZe members to fall to their demise. And that's Anaton to make the call over by Laundry. Ascending, taking advantage of the Yana. Messy fight, but there's 1 down for FaZe, traded back by CAG. Bullet walks in, another kill to his name, but 2 seconds left. Same spot, same war of attrition, and same result. CAG comes out on top 2 rounds in a row.
I really loved how eager Anaton was to get into a gunfight with Pulse. He spotted them with the scanner, then sprinted up the staircase, only to really fall to the ground from the hand of Ayana. Sprinting is an argument or a topic that we talk about often, right? A lot of players, we argue that they should take the sprinting key off their keyboard or unbind it, because if you're sprinting into a gunfight, you will always lose. You cannot shoot back, you cannot fight back, and you've been ADS there, it's a freebie, but sprinting makes it the other way around. You really gotta fight for it. One shot headshot, that'll be your friend, but if you can't find the head, well, then you're dead. And with the UMP's fire rate, it's not looking too nice because that is rather slow. It's on the lower end for the defenders. And that's also why Pulse doesn't see the most play. But what we see now instead is the UMP from Castle. The difference is you get a 1.5x scope on the same weapon of the UMP, a secondary shotgun, and Gator has also chosen to bring out the bulletproof 4 Castle barricades. Castle has been buffed, he no longer has just 3. And also this quality of life change where you can put the panels over a normal barricade without having to pull down the regular barricade first. We might just see it right now. There it is. Isn't that beautiful? Not only is it faster, it's easier, it's much smoother in terms of feeling and play, but if there's an attacker outside the building and the round has started, you can now safely put a castle barricade over a regular one and not fear getting shot in the face. It's very, very small timing you could get shot, but it's much smaller than it used to be. So that's pretty good. Castlemains all around the world rejoice. They're happy, they're smiling, and they're safe and comfortable inside the map.
I mean, it's just a small quality of life update, right?
But it's huge at the same time. It feels so nice.
I mean, it's a small update with a very large amount of impact.
Yes.
So there you have it. Drone hunting now down below. 30 seconds into live action, and Black Ray sprinting on through VIP, and, well,
Survives?
I somehow manages to live. He had a bad effort on the previous map of Villa, but on Kafe, he is really making it his own. He's 4-0, and while he is severely injured, he's still alive.
Also, remember, it was Black Ray himself who got an ace on Chalet. We've seen very few. I believe that Dan has one, so does a Chief. There was one more player yesterday that got it himself. I forgot exactly what player it was, but my point being is there's only been a handful of aces so far, which this late in group stage, the very last day of group stage, is kind of atypical. Gatorada again, CAG, 3 opening picks in a row, each and every single round, but there's a response back quite fast from cameraman from FaZe, back to a 4-4 score count. That advantage was short-lived from CAG, but I have to try and gather it back because Black Ray, oh so low on health. It's tough.
It is tough. And right now, firmly just protected inside of Piano. Castle Barricades will stop the Twitch, who continues to get tased away at the feet because of the angle of this Maestro cam. Look at that frustration. Finally, the Selmas go off and they open a small window through the wall that leads to Ticket Booth. Another Selma will go off as well, and the wall opens up to greater extent. The Twitch doesn't need to worry anything about it. Cyber wants to dislodge the players that are in that spot, take out the gadgets, and then move forward. But you got to be managing the clock really effectively here. Even though it's a 4-4, Cyclops have a setup where they can sit back and wait and force you to use the utility. And they're going to lose some of that utility. Cyber's down, now Astro is as well. At least a trade back, but the more trades that happen in will only favor CAG. Gatorada's been down in the fray, and that leaves Bullet in a 1v2. He secures the kill that was so rightfully his. Black Ray again, still on that 1 HP. He might be the next target. With the amount of damage that an ARX does, Bullet can make very quick work of this. 25 seconds remain for him to find the 2 players from CAG. Lest CAG continue their run of domination here on Kafe. They'll do just that. Beautifully played by the Alibi. Beautifully played from the start of the round onwards. Ever so elusive. And just like that, CAG are up 3-0.
Not just CAG, but specifically Black Ray. Huge player in Chalet. Of course, nobody from CAG really popped off on Villa, but now once again on Kafe, he has been activated. We saw them how they held Piano. They challenged FaZe on every step of this round, and I do think one of the key factors from the success of CAG is 1, the early aggression itself, but then 2, the success they found within stopping and slowing down FaZe, and it's caused a tactical pause as FaZe Clan. They want to gather up the troops and talk about, guys, what's going on? How do we go from being so strong on Villa to look so weak on Kafe? It only really took 4 minutes of a break, and then all of that just fell apart. And honestly, this just speaks to the nature of the maps, right? Chalet is very open. You can play together or play quite spread out and thin. Villa, a little bit more structured, a little more compartmentalized. And honestly, if you don't know how to read the map, you'll have a bad time. Kafe, clearly a map where CAG are much more comfortable. And also, just for a little bit of context, Villa was FaZe Clan's map pick, so CAG didn't necessarily want to go there. Kafe is a decider, so more of a neutral ground for both teams, if you will. It's like a handshake. They agreed in union that they both want to go here if they go the distance. And I mean, if you show a Caveira, it's very clearly 6-pick usually, but they show CAG, they're in their head, Parker.
I mean, they're just having fun at this point, right? The timeout taken, you switch up these operators. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not worth watching this matchup, but in terms of the grand scheme of things, this map is quite meaningless for CAG. CAG are out. They're done. Even if they win, it's simply for bragging rights at this point because they cannot escape the bottom of this group. That's it. They're gone. CAG eliminated. So they're playing for fun. And you can see it in their spirits.
Yeah.
I'm sure they knew the math when they were going into this matchup that, hey, we're probably not going to be going any farther, if not outright knowing they're not going any farther. And yet they're still playing it with the same moxie. They're still playing it with that same level of enjoyment that they've played so far. And I honestly think this is one of the things with these APAC teams, is that even when APAC teams lose, they always seem to be unbelievably positive. And it's so hard to not be fans of those teams because of how infectious it is, Nick.
No, it's true. I mean, FaZe could still play for points, right? It's not going to matter a massive amount because Liquid, you know, they're locked in first place, etc. But bragging rights, even then, it matters. Going out, you know, finishing groups with a victory is going to be a lot nicer than going out on a loss. Cypher now, first opening pick for FaZe. It took 4 rounds, but we got there, and it took a tactical timeout. That's all right. We are now finding ourselves back on that mining bomb site, so that means first floor is where it's at, or should I say second floor, as there is no basement on this particular map. Cypher almost met his demise by a shotgun, but he stays alive for now. Blackgray taking a bit of damage, will start peeling back off, and FaZe Clan slowing down the tempo, trying to hold more angles and letting CAG do the work for them. If they walk into our ADS crosshairs, they will die for free. If we run into them, that's where it gets difficult, and we see it. Most players are just sitting somewhere on the staircase, and but Cypher, he finds a second for of his choosing, and he wants to get a third, gets aggressive on this wide hallway, but no, that's the shutdown from Suzu.
And he looks the wrong way. FaZe being able to get that very first pick is big for them. They needed a confidence boost. So far through these 3 rounds, all of which CAG have won. The first kill also all in the favor of Cyclops. Now down goes Astro, so there's some bite back from CAG, but they lose Blackgray, which is not ideal. He's been the lifeblood of this team here on Kafe. 6-0 becomes 6-1. It's his first death. So Gadarada playing around the window with Suzu not too far off, watching over this mining bomb site. There's cameraman to take out Gadarada and continuing his advance as the Kaid is down below. With a minute to go, he's going to try to stop the diffuser with a nitro cell. This might be a foolish decision. Bullet has hopped in, hits the frost mat, and the Kaid will have to get back up. Pulled out of the bear trap as Bullet is revived, and Souls with diffuser in hand will get it planted. He doesn't have a kill, but he's about to have an objective get played. 45 seconds left, and the timer still continues to go. We're going to go all 3 minutes. They'll wait and just watch the 2 stairwells that lead up towards the bomb site. 3, in fact. Flash goes out. It just zones Suzu from this position. Given the fact that the entirety of the floor is shot out and the position is known, this round is all but over, barring a miracle for Suzu, who jumps out, takes the fight, gives it away, and they're just going to wait for it's Bullet to get the final kill. FaZe is finally on the board as they pick up their first round in round 4.
That also means that not only did that tactical timeout work out for FaZe, but every single opening kill has gone to the round winner. So the first 3 rounds, CAG got the opening kill, they got all 3 rounds, and the 4th, it was Cypher from FaZe, and that also meant that FaZe also got the mining round. That's mining bomb site twice now inside of 4 rounds, and that's quite impressive statistically. And speaking of statistics, I got this kind of, not a riddle, but
no.
this is...
Here it comes.
Yeah, so this one is a bit tricky, but just try and follow along.
Okay.
So, if you look at how regions perform against each other,
yes,
you'll notice that LATAM has a positive map record against North America and Europe. North America has a positive record against Europe and APAC. Europe has a positive record against APAC, and APAC has a positive record against LATAM. So that means, in other words, LATAM is greater than EU, LATAM is greater than NA, is greater than EU, is greater than APAC, is greater than LATAM. Which doesn't make any sense, but it kind of does at the same time. In other words, certain regions, they match up differently against other regions. That's the gist of it.
I just see a video of you talking, and then 1 question mark pops up, and then 4 question marks pop up, and then 20 question marks pop up, and then the whole screen is just question marks.
You know, I could probably have said it in a different way. That was sent to me from a friend of mine. Thank you, Hannibal. I'm sure it would make a lot more sense if someone else had looked at it and gone, I can explain that better. But I couldn't. But yeah, you get the gist. Certain matchup are favored. The same can be argued where if in a defensive side or a strategical team, let's say Dark Zero, they don't do that good against the aggressive team, let's say such as FaZe. That means FaZe is favored in a matchup, then Cyclops, they are really good against it. So in a way, FaZe is better than Dark Zero, but CAG are better than FaZe. That kind of means CAG is the best because they're better than the second best, but then DC beats CAG and it's like an endless loop and chaos. Anyway, we're done in the basement. Enough talk about that. My head hurts, and I'm sure so does yours.
Not basement.
You know, we're not basement, we are. Oh, first floor.
First floor, Nick.
First floor.
Crying out loud. Gatorada sets up a black mirror, but not before he gets blown sky high by a nade tossed in by Cyber. That's two players of FaZe now that are over by the reinforced delivery door, and that's killed one of the players from Cyclops. Gatorada out of action. No Nitro Cell. I'm assuming both the Black Mirrors have been there. It also means that no map control on that portion of the map, which allows FaZe to take up ground so quickly. And look at this. Cyber is about to be in the bomb site. Cyber is now in the bomb site with a kill to his name. Cyber's in the bomb site. Cyber is dead. Black Ray swats him away, losing half of his HP in the process. And just like that, things will settle down. With FaZe having the upper hand, but immediately they continue to narrow down. Both teams taking one player off of the battlefield. Again, FaZe Clan still has that upper hand.
No follow-up, it was just Cyber all alone inside the bomb set until he wasn't. FaZe, they did what they did really good on Villa, that off-pace aggression out of nowhere, pressing that big red button, boom! It's time to go, it's time to get in, it's time to win. But it was only one player really following up that call. Cameraman, no line scans in sight. Blackray gets a freebie for his life.
And there it goes, continuing on. 8 kills from Black Ray. That's not him, by the way, on the screen. That's Bullet. So Bullet is no longer alive, and now neither is Cameraman, and pretty soon neither will be Astro if Black Ray keeps this up. But no, it's Astro actually to win the 1v1 and give FaZe a round. It looked like Black Ray was going to backpack his whole team, but the bag just ripped at the last second, and they all fell out. FaZe collect 2 rounds in a row. The first half goes to its very final round, and CAG struggling as to where they're going to go. They're going to go to Bar Cocktail upstairs. This bomb site was played all the way back in round number 3, and it was a round that went in favor of CAG.
It's really a sad picture. Like, imagine somebody putting stuff in a backpack, like something like, you know, teammates or whatever, then it rips at the very end, and like an endless cycle again. Put stuff in the backpack, rips, oh, it's empty. New backpack, do the same thing. Black Ray has really had a phenomenal game with mixed success for his team. Amazing Chalet, he got the ace, really poor second map, and now once again it's kind of the Black Ray show. 9-2. The second closest player is Gatorada on that 4-4 scoreline, and at this point for CAG, I think it's a matter of who's having the most fun, who's running around the map the most. Well, it is Black Ray. He is really showing the sunshine, if you will, and so does his stats. Having fun equals playing well equals doing good. I feel like that makes perfect sense. We are back up top. We do have the castle. Everything makes sense here. It's very nice. Similar operator lineup from both teams. Cameraman stays in the line. That means that FaZe Clan can keep doing that weird off-pace go button, because that's where the line is very nice. Whenever you choose to go aggressive, you can make sure that the opposing team of Cyclops will be standing somewhat still or be spotted out if they try to move. There is no mute, there is no wall deny, even though the factor has been banned. That means that CAG do not care about that win condition. They just want to try and get in your face and try and get picks.
Well, Black Ray will again be the focal point for CAG on this round. 9 kills to his name. He has been such a formidable foe, and the only player on CAG who can consistently match up against FaZe Clan through these 6 rounds. Gatorada has tried his best, but that's about it. Again, it's simplistic to talk about kills, but while we're at it, let's talk about the quote-unquote best support in the world, according to our good friend Harry Demo Dempster. Every single time you bring up Souls, he goes, oh, he's the best support in the world. The best support in the world is currently 0-4, though the value that Souls provides is not coming in terms of kills, and I think that's okay to note that. There are plenty of players who on the team who bring things through drone work, communication, and leadership that is not easily quantifiable or seen on a scoreboard. Trying to emerge the first half victorious is Cyclops. They put together the first 3 rounds. They've struggled since then. They are not struggling this round. They've got the first 3 picks, and suddenly, with 1:45 to go, FaZe find themselves with just 2 players left.
It's weird how it plays out, because FaZe did the right thing. They had 3 players on that second floor. They droned out the player of Black Ray inside a library, but they couldn't really do much about it. He had health vertically, and now he's just hiding inside a library, waiting. And it's those shotguns really doing good work. They found 3 kills and almost baiting around their star player. And that's nice. That's the round over. I mean, sure, you can argue 2v5 clutches are possible, and they are, but it's so highly unlikely, especially because CAG aren't running into them. They're playing very smart. 4 players top floor. Black Ray single-handedly downstairs on floor below, inside a library, so we're just vibing. We're not throwing bodies, we're not giving you 1v1s, and we're just gonna play down the clock because there's a whole minute left to go. Souls now inside the building has dropped down the hatch, but that's all we can do. They're gonna have to make their way through Cigar on new balcony onto side, and yes, they do have diffuser. Damage being done to Souls. A flawless round will happen, and there you go. Cyber dies too. All of a sudden you stop talking, and CAG says, let's get this one over with. The side swap occurring in front of our eyes. Black Ray again, the standout performer for his team. The first half in the books, 4-2 in favor of CAG. And right now, by my count, and your notes tell me if you differ, every single time a team got the first pick, they also went on to win the round. Absolutely true. There you go. Yep. That is a good thing. That means our notes align, even if mine are scribbled and doodled a bit more ugly, if you will, than yours. Parker, my handwriting is not the greatest. I doodle and daddle like a toddler. But that's alright, because if I can remember most things, I won't have to rely on my notes that I myself can barely read, and you certainly can't. We're in a side swap. Now we got FaZe on the defensive side. You would argue usually that Kafe is defender-sided, but honestly, I will take most of those statistics out into the garbage because here at SI, it is just very, very different, and the stats, they change every single day. We're gonna start up top. That is a bomb site where CAG, they had just won it. Twice actually. The round we just saw, and in round 3 they won both of those defenses, and it's typically the starting point for most teams. Normally we see you go top floor into reading into basement and just kind of repeat that pattern. Of course there are certain attacks that break apart your bomb site and you might just change it up, but it's a good starting point. And with Thatcher being banned, you have a couple of options if you are FaZe. You can reinforce certain walls to keep certain walls open inside a freezer. And right now they have chosen to go with, I believe, one soft inside a bathroom, one soft inside a freezer. So it's going to be more aggressive and front forward. They will be playing in those positions and likely using shields to their disposal to try and get a nice position in. They will only have one shield, that'll be from the Echo, so not a ton of them available, but they'll also have the Yokai drone. Cyber going to that second floor. Gonna try and look for a drone or two, as Mussies do. If you can manage to find one, that'll be incredibly valuable because it gives you even more information at your disposal as the round progresses. Anaton on the OSAT. Really flexible pick operator, has now been seen on all 3 maps. We saw it on Chalet on that final round, they won. We saw it in the previous round of Villa, well, they lost. And now we're seeing it here where Cameraman says good night. And it doesn't matter what operator you are, but Ayagata takes him to the grave as well. Cameraman almost walks away though, alive, as boy oh boy, look at the damage that was done to Ayagator. They need to burn one of those adrenal surges immediately to keep the team healthy. Nice tracking through the wall, and a Gatorada. That's Cyber with the kill, and a Nitro Cell goes out, but in the wrong direction. Suzu's to the right, and that's exactly where FaZe needs to look. Instead, they'll get out of there as quickly as they can. CAG losing the plot on this round. I'm not sure losing the plot. They're doing all right, but of course it is going to be quite troublesome because you only have 3 players alive, or make that 2 1/3 because Ayagata, or Ayagator, he doesn't have a whole lot of health. Utility-wise, we're looking alright. We got 3 flashbangs, we got 2 grenades, we still got some Sophia utility as well. We got a fair bit of drones because, as you'd expect, when a round goes very fast and very aggressive, drones isn't what gets used the most. That'll be your active gun duty, and speaking of guns, Bullet getting very active on this Pixel shield. That's the only shield the defenders have. It's quite important. And you can blow it up easily with any of those explosives that are available, but as you talked about the importance of this shield, they've peeled back now. FaZe have surrendered at least that part of the map, and now are preparing for an execute over towards the new Balk and Piano side of the map. That's where Black Ray is, ever the threat, looming with his double digits, far and away the leader inside of this lobby, and he knows somebody is over on that spam ping, waiting for the pop-up from Astro. This will be a fight for the ages, both of these players so mechanically gifted. Time continuing to slip away from Cyclops. They trail in terms of numbers and are now 30 seconds away from a round loss. I say this because they're the ones with the objective. They need to get that diffuser planted. Suzu has to break into the bomb site and allow the rest of
his team to get covered. He's breaking in somewhere, and he's lost most of his HP, as now Black Ray engages with the Jaeger of Astro. Astro wins FaZe, 2 kills for 1 to CAG. Suzu toiling. What can he accomplish, as he will be almost certainly dead unless he can plant the diffuser? FaZe Clan says, we're not going to let you even do that. They take him down, and FaZe Clan pick up their 3rd round.
Very much a gun-based map here, and it is expected, right? We see how both these teams play. We know diffusers, they are possible to get down, but more often than not, it will come down to who will just run into the other team first and then win the gunfight and therefore win the round. Opening kill that round kind of goes to both teams by my standards because it was traded out extremely quickly. Technically speaking, CAG, I believe, was the one to get the opening kill. Actually, I think FaZe got the very first kill, but then traded back by CAG very shortly after. So, yeah, both teams will get it. 6 pick from the Monty onto Ying. CAG really getting that flexibility in. They played the... it's the Osa again. I was going to say Ying, Osa, maybe Monty. It'll be Osa twice instead. It didn't work the previous round. Enigen was the first person to fall in that previous round, so we did not see the utilization of the operator, but we are now going down to reading. That's the bomb site rotation we spoke of earlier. Top into reading into basement. That is what we'll see play out in front of our very eyes as FaZe Clan has picked up their first defensive round. They will now do the same similar thing of playing the bomb site below, but extending up. Same pixel shield from the Goyo. Although the change is, if this shield explodes, the fire will spread. That makes it more difficult for defenders to stick around compared to a normal shield. Evil Eye on that new balcony. That's going to give you some oversight. Mute Jammer on this single wall. Gonna see what they do inside of blue. That is 1 reinforcement so far, with possibility of a 2nd being added. The deep exterior walls will be reinforced with freezer as well. Slap a jammer on that, you got a pretty strong hold. With that chip being banned, it'll make it very difficult for attackers to break that apart. But then again, we say that it's going to come down to gunfights. We all know it.
That's been the story for these two teams, right? They have brute forced their way through a lot of these rounds. Both of them are perfectly capable of executing a very well put together strategy, but so many times it's the killing that ultimately defines these rounds.
There's a shield on this electric station outside. That's like, I don't think anyone's ever seen that before. Look at this.
I feel like we've seen that once or twice before.
Really?
I think so.
Okay, I have never seen it before.
Oh! They collapse on Gator playing in that position. A Nitro Cell goes out by Cameraman and say goodbye, as it's a run out though, but greeted by Suzu C. Down goes Cyber. FaZe Clan lose their first member, and that's the Legion as well. No more generating goo mines.
Yeah, and we saw the aggression there, the jump out. I mean, FaZe already had the first kill. They got greedy for a second and then got punished right after. Could have been a touch play, but that will be that instead. We're trading back and forth right now.
A rough position there to be in, but yeah, trading back and forth. As Soul's still unable to find his kill at round 8. That's not where you want to be, and he's not always playing on those support roles for this map.
No, he was actually on Sophia, I believe, on the attack, so had more of a flex role, if you will. But of course, you can't always get the kills. It won't always be your turn, and he'll be activated at some point on this round. We see now Bullet inside Cigar, looking to get active on this red ping, act together with his team, because it is 2 versus 1.
Down he goes. It's a 3v3 overall now, as that 2v1 has ended upstairs, and they'll just regroup down below. The bomb site inside of reading, and hey, look at that. Oh my goodness gracious, all the damage, and now the grenade will pop up. What the hell is going on? Gatorada is trying everything to flush out Astro, and finally doesn't. Inside of the middle of reading now, Gatorada, as well as Suzu C. Where can they get the diffuser planted? They don't have control of the site, or at least they don't think they do, as Cameraman has now switched roles with them. He's the one on the top floor. Again, Gatorada can plant that diffuser, but he needs to be wary of where these last 2 players from FaZe are. Bullet is down below. Cameraman is above. That means that the middle floor is completely uncontested. Gatorada in, and again softening up the wall. He doesn't want to be too vulnerable because there is no intel, and he's right to think that. Down he goes, leaving Suzu in a 1v2. picking up the diffuser, limited time to go. Case coming out for the bait, looking over towards Fireplace. The two remaining members of FaZe Clan should have a relatively easy time taking care of Suzu, and they do indeed. What a run this has been from FaZe Clan. Other than the interruption in round number 6, they have been dominant on both attack and on defense, and FaZe Clan have found their 4th round and tied the game.
That they have. I will say, Garavada with the LMG doing everything he can to do as much damage as possible, tossed out that uncooked grenade as well, and they managed to find the kill onto side. It wasn't enough for CAG, but it's a nice aggressive entry, almost looking similar to that of FaZe, what they were doing to them on Villa. We have a tactical timeout from CAG. They're using those more frequently now than they did yesterday in their previous matchup, and that's nice for them. Even though they are technically out of the tournament, they're still taking these options to try and win out the map. They clearly want to do as much damage as possible and show that they are a deserving team of being here at the Invitationals, even if their hopes of staying inside the tournament are over. We'll be able to talk about, guys, what's next for us? What will we do? 4-4, evened up, anything can happen.
I will say, I do appreciate how CAG is taking this so seriously, despite the fact that for them, this is a meaningless game. And when I say meaningless, and I don't say that to be rude, but when I say meaningless, I mean it in the sense that nothing will change based upon a victory, but you might as well get as much experience as you can. It's not every day that you get to play up against a major champion. It's not every day that you get to play up against one of the best teams in the world. FaZe is both of those things.
They are.
So for CAG, this is great experience. Even if you don't come out with a win, the fact that you can keep it competitive is a statement for your org, a statement for your team, and it is invaluable experience. After the timeout has been taken by CAG, the next defense for FaZe Clan will be down below in Kitchen.
Yeah, and I mean, we all do it for the fans, right? That's kind of where it starts. When you are a player, a commentator, a content creator, etc., it's always about the fans. Without the fans watching and supporting the games and the content that we create, there isn't these jobs for us, right? There is no Pro League, there are no YouTube careers, there are no Twitch streamers, so thank you for watching right now if you're watching it live, and thank you as well if you're watching this back on YouTube. It means the world to us, and it quite literally makes what we do for a living possible, and we all get to enjoy the same thing, which right now is Rainbow Six Siege. So you might feel like you're not appreciated, but trust me, each and every single one of you, even the people spamming Twitch chat with stupid copy pastas, you all play a key factor in our ecosystem. But also, if you're not nice to other people, start being nice to other people, because some people are mean to each other, and we don't like that. Happiness, sunshine, and rainbows, they go a very long way, and I think we'd all use a bit of that every single day, so that when a rainy day comes around, you have a bit of sunshine in your pocket left over from those good days.
All right, well, round number 9 underway. We're going to see the OSA come out yet again, and I want to say at this point, bringing an OSA on Kafe is a bit more sensible, but it is still an experiment from CAG as to how this operator is going to be applied, because I have not been particularly enamored with their play of OSA as an operator. The 2 rounds that we witnessed her, neither of which she had a huge impact on what transpired in the round.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, like, Anderson is having fun on the operator, and he has a lot of options of things he can do in the round. It just happens to be the way that they don't get to do a lot of those things in most of these rounds. You can use this shield very dynamically. I do think it's better on Chalet than it is here on Kafe, and I also think it's better on Villa than it is here in Kafe, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. She also brings the smoke grenades. That's a secondary gadget that can really come into play when it comes to the executes, denying line of sight, and trying to get more aggressive. And here we see aggressiveness. They're gonna run in, storm into the side, but when you have a shield in front of your face, you cannot shoot back. That means it was a 1 versus 1, which now means it's a 5 versus 3 because FaZe, they're shooting back with accuracy.
And it's almost a flawless round now. The diffuser is surrendered. Not flawless, as Bullet is taken out of action. Suzu and Gadarada have their work cut out for them with just over a minute left. ADS still inside a bakery. It means that Soul's playing this position behind the deployable shield is in much stronger spot than before, and that ADS should grab the nade, but it goes off, cooked a little bit too early. Souls doesn't have a single thing to worry about from this position that he's in.
Yeah, and they've actually even reinforced off the wall. Now, no rotate will be inside of Bakery. It's a very wise choice because that means when CAG, they take control of Bakery, now they have to take the time to open up the wall. They will only have one player to cover. That is Susu on the Nomad. And Gatorada working the hot breach. They got 35 seconds left. They have one way in right now. That's just this prep door. They'll have two ways in soon enough when they make this. But the issue is, even if they make the wall soft, they cannot get into the breach. There's no soft destruction on the side of Susu. That means they will both just walk into one single door with 4 people waiting for their doom. That's a tall task to ask, especially because there's one more canister from Cameraman that gets tossed out. With 10 seconds left, there is nothing that can be done. And that is shown on your screen right then and there. And FaZe Clan are now really starting to build up the rounds and the momentum in their favor.
Absolutely are, and they have everything working in their favor, especially since they've now burned a timeout. They're balancing utility quite well. The pacing of the rounds is being dictated in many ways by CAG, but is actually playing into the strengths of FaZe Clan too. And you see this attempted rush on your screen. They decide, we're going to take Bakery, we're going to push to prep, and you run head first into a wall. And that wall's name was Souls, playing on the Echo. He manages to rebuff you, you get slowed down, and you have to immediately reset because you can't do anything. What are you going to do? You'll lose some very valuable pieces early on, and your entire push is derailed. Cyclops were in control of the first half. If you recall, they took it by a score of 4-2, but FaZe Clan since then have been almost unstoppable. They've been perfect through these 3 rounds, and we can't even call it an unexpected result. Both of these teams are well practiced here. You mentioned it. It was another Brazilian team that Cyclops went up against in Liquid to give them some very valuable experience.
It was. I mean, so for you guys that don't know, CAG played Liquid on Kafe. They actually beat them 8-7. That was one Latin team. This is a different one. Different playstyles and different preferences, and it shows, right? We spoke about this quite a bit, where certain matchups just favor certain outcomes, and in this case, Cyclops are kind of running out of steam. I did like the OSA attempt last round on Basement where they rushed through, but ultimately it was kind of a bait because if you're running through with the shield, the OSA herself, she's safe. But your teammates behind, they aren't, and they fell. Souls now on the board. We spoke about him critically earlier, where he hasn't really gotten that many kills so far. And yes, that's not what support players are supposed to do, but now that Souls is on the board, he can feel good about that. We're now in a 5 versus 5, and Souls themselves have picked up the mirror. That's going to really fortify this top floor position, as that's also the bomb side. The Cyclops, this is actually where the OSA is the strongest, especially when the mirror is open. You can deny the line of sight. Well, they still have it, they just can't shoot you. That means that C4s and impact grenades become even more valuable, but with only 2 C4s and no impacts, that doesn't bode very well. Opening kill for CAG, that's bullet off the board. Jaeger, passive gadget, they will stay alive. Enerton follows up on Cypher, that's a smoke, that's a very different story. Passive versus active, one loses value and one does not. Take a guess on which is which. 1 C4 comes out, that means only 1 is left now on the side of Souls. That means Astro will jump down below with Souls being Overwatch up above, unsure of where CAG is pushing from. And they still got 5 players alive and nobody's inside the building yet, so joke's on you. Well, one just falls off the roof. That's because Cameraman did a nice run out from that garage. They made a rotate earlier, which really now favored them, and that's also Diffuser. That is actually a lot bigger than I initially thought, and CAG will have to go all the way back into spawn, pick it up just to go back up to the roof.
I can't help but keep just pointing my fingers at OSA and how ineffective CAG have been with that operator. I mean, it's not like it's Villa, it's not like it's Chalet, where we saw the OSA be really critically important. Every single time Anaton goes on this operator on Kafe, we really don't see anything that impressive out of it. And at what point do you start making changes here? Just dogged insistence that you run the same operator in this composition that is a bit of a pocket pick, because OSA is not meta on Kafe. This is a very deliberate strategy solely used by CAG. A Monty might even make more sense, for crying out loud, and we know that's an operator that CAG is very comfortable with. So I can be as critical as I want. FaZe Clan are presently eating CAG alive. They now have an advantage after taking down Gatorada.
Yeah, and I mean, in these best of threes and even more so best of fives, the question of like stamina, how long can you go for, and also when do you run out of steam? It seems like FaZe Clan, they're still ramping up at Cyclops. They're slowly running out, and it shows in their performance. But thankfully for CAG, if you will say that, it is map and series point but in favor of FaZe Clan. That means if you don't start showing up, it'll be over very briefly. If you do start showing up, you can take it all the way to OT and really prove a point. But I do agree with you, Parker. The way that CAG has been using the OSA is not impressive enough to really argue another round of it. I think it's time to change up the cards. Sure, show it now, 6-pick off it, or whatever you want to do. But I don't think bringing it a third time is really going to be the right choice.
Well, it looks like Anaton abandoning the OSA and not being the 6th pick for his team will instead stay with a hard breacher of Hibana. The 6th pick is the Ayagator Zofia into a Twitch. This is match point, series point for FaZe Clan. For Cyclops, they've won a single map thus far, but they've already been eliminated from the groups. This is a farewell to the Japanese team. Even if they go out with a win here, riding high, doesn't matter. The result is the same. Rogue and Space Station are currently in play on the other stream, though, and we will eventually be going over there. Once this concludes, we should be merging streams. So if you want to sit here and wait for the end of this matchup, you're welcome to do that. But if you would also like to see SSG versus Rogue, our sister stream, twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo is where you want to go. That one's being brought to you by Ace and Dez. So you can go over there and tune in. Rogue's position is now safe. That matchup is, again, solely for seeding purposes. Because while Liquid will absolutely win the group, there is still a fight for second place. If Rogue wins 2-0, then it's possible, I'd have to look at the numbers, that they can pick second place in the group.
That is absolutely true. Looking at right now, if Rogue wins their map clean 2-0, they will actually be ahead of SSG by a single point. If they win one map, it comes down to tiebreakers. That's not something I have on hand, but yeah, there is a chance that Rogue will get a higher seed than that of SSG if they win a clean 2-0. So it'll be exciting to watch and see if they can actually do it. Rogue has had a shaky, a little bit inconsistent group, but then again, the chaos that has been of group stage of SI22 has really been a real thing. Half our predictions are down the drain, but that's alright. Bullet, he gets the opening kill. That's Susu off the board, Nomad off the board. That's going to mean that map control is a little bit more difficult for CAG, but it is a reading attack. Map control is limited already. You're not going to be worrying about that many flanks. You only have one area, but I mean, you don't have any area right now. Astro finds a second, and now every single member of CAG is either outside the building or on the roof. No map control in sight. That means the Nomad being dead, it really doesn't matter, because for that to be activated, you need to actually get inside the building and start working on the map. I don't know what to expect here. CAG, they're looking for freebies, but FaZe won't give it to them.
FaZe are just unrelenting right now with this ruthless aggression. I think that Gone 6 at Gatorada actually just missed, by the way. First kill for CAG comes in, Goyle Shield blows up in front of Gatorada, and Astro with a tiny bit of HP will get out of the portion of that top floor and safely into the bomb site. Again with the DMR on this Twitch, I gotta be so critical of this.
It's different.
You have the F2, just use the F2. It is one of the best guns in the game. I don't know what your intentions are. Cyber's falling off the stairs now as the smoke will come in from CAG, and they're gonna just continue to fall. Gatorada torn to pieces, as is Anaton. And that's it for Cyclops Athlete Gaming. We already knew they were going home, but now it's officially over. FaZe Clan have made it out of the groups. They'll be playing in Stage 2 in about 48 hours, 36 hours, somewhere in that window. The defending major champions, they're not world champions, they're major champions, but they might be one of the favorites to win the world championship. This is a big win for them, and it secures their spot moving forward.
It does. I mean, if you're Astro especially, that's going to give you a lot of confidence going forward. If you're FaZe, you close out on a strong day here at the end. It wasn't a clean 2-0, but it was a 2-1. And more importantly, you showcased after a loss on Chalet 7-4. You can still do a ton of damage. I will say extremely, absurdly impressive Villa from FaZe Clan. I wonder if teams will actually have the confidence to bring them there, if they think they can handle FaZe's aggression, or if they think they will fall as well. CAG, I'm waving right now. You can't see it, but we'll miss you. Thank you for coming, and unfortunately, it's your turn to go home.
It absolutely is. We had to say goodbye to 4 teams, Nick, when it comes to the group stages, and starting on Monday, we're going to begin saying goodbye to more teams as well as we go from Monday into the final playoffs starting on Friday. And that will be only, what, I think 6 teams will be competing from Friday onwards. It's been a great run for some squads here, but some surprises already. After finishing in the top 8 in Mexico, Sandbox Squad in the groups. BDS, nobody really saw the circumstances surrounding BDS happening. We also didn't see Team 1 going out quite so early. Cyclops entered as one of the lower ranked teams in this event. We knew from past experience that they would have struggles in their group, but I will say there were a lot of bright spots with this squad, and I'm glad to have been able to put the voice to some of their action. That's it for the matches here. We've got our command center ready to go, and then we'll be bringing you that Rogue versus SSG match that's happening on the other stream. But before we get to all that, you know what's coming next. A break. We'll see you in just a couple minutes.